Hey everyone. So we're doing something different this week. Also, Kevin's here. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Zeke. Hello.
Yep. Hello. So we're not doing a podcast episode this week because Sheridan's camping, and I had very little prepared. But we're gonna do something else, which should be fun. So I meant to have my e-reader here, but I left it over there.
Dork.
So I'm gonna be starting direct Danganronpa EX Chapter 3 this year. So I'm gonna be rereading what I've written so far to. Where's my music? The music go.
The music has stopped. Where's the music?
Okay, the music. We failed Rihanna. The music stopped. I don't know why. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna be writing Chapter 3 this year. So I'm rereading everything up to that point to refresh myself and make notes. And while I'm doing so, I might as well take the opportunity to write down bits of writing that I think could be cleaned up. And I read the prologue last night, and I noticed quite a few little instances of some sloppiness that I think could be cleaned up. So I wanted to go through that and explain why does that keep fucking stopping? This is so annoying. Am I pressing? What's happening here?
It should never stop, never stopping.
We're failing Rihanna by the fucking boatload. I don't like this. Anyway, and explain what I've learned since then, and why these changes I think should be made. So I'm gonna edit directly to AO3. I've always considered everything I post online to be a living document. Um, they've gone through numerous changes since they were first originally posted. Usually it's just correcting minor typos or little errors when people point them out to me, or adding new art or images and stuff as I've kept reposting them. So I wanted to go through the prologue and read out sections. And there's gonna be very minimal changes, if any, to dialogue. That's all pretty solid. It's the stuff around the dialogue that I think could be cleaned up to a more polished reading experience. So this introduction, and by the way, Kevin's read the series, so he knows all this stuff. Um,
Yes, yes.
so this introduction with the children talking, I don't really have anything to fix here. It's all dialogue and it all works. So we're gonna skip past that. And I really want to focus on the stuff around. My work is very dialogue focused, but I want to focus on what I've learned about the stuff around it since then. I wrote this prologue in, I want to say, like March of 2018, I think. So it's been quite a while. It has been almost 5 years since I wrote.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm going to be working on this damn thing for the next decade. I really wish I could be one of those guys who could like hyper focus on a single project. But such
Yeah,
as
unfortunately, you have three different writing projects going at the exact same time at this point. You have this, you have Beyond Fiction, which is in the same uh, world as this,
yeah,
and you also have your Killer Connect scripts that you're writing.
yeah, and everything else I do, like the podcast and stuff, and
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
occasional YouTube video and stuff. So the prologue. "Hey you, wake up," a voice called out. A young man lightly groaned as he sat up on the bed, his hands tracing over the covers with a sense of surprise. He opened his eyes to see a dimly lit room before him, a room in which there was a bed in which he rested upon, a small table, a drawer cabinet, and another figure standing at the doorway. I don't like this repetition of the "in which."
In which, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of this is going to be fixing up repetition, because it's while it can be used effectively, unless you're doing something with the repetition, it comes across as a bit sloppy. So, a room in which there was a bed in which he rested upon. I think I'm just going to change that to that.
Yeah, it just ends up being something that like it feels like the writer is kind of tripping over themselves to just write the sentence.
Yeah,
So,
and
like
again,
as a reading experience, it's just very uneven. It's kind of like a speed bump
yeah,
when you're reading.
as crazy as it might seem for how intricately planned EX might appear, I actually started writing this prologue at like 4 a.m. on a whim at the time. Huh? I was sleeping? He stammered out in a groggy voice. Obviously. Did you have a nice dream? The voice asked in a perky voice. We're gonna change that to tone. That was the first thing I noticed when I read this last night. Is I'm like, that's a bad first impression. That is, we are not even a full paragraph in, really. Um, and the reason I wanted to focus on the prologue is because it's people's first impression, and so once you've got them hooked, you know, you can get away with a lot of shit. But I figured, if people are going to come here, the prologue's going to be the first thing they see. So
Yeah.
I'd like to make that as smooth a thing as possible. When his eyes adjusted to the light, he saw the figure before him was female. Her face was pale, but but lively in a rather subdued way. Actually, no. I don't think I had any dreams, he responded blankly. She nodded. Huh, that's weird. Or not. Now that you know what is weird is the fucking music keeps stopping. This stream is going to be a disaster. Or not, now that I think about it, she said. It was true. A dreamless sleep was not an unusual occurrence. Anyway, I just came to wake you up. We're going to be there soon, she said. Just as she was about to leave, the boy spoke up. Wait. And this is a great example of what I'm going to be fixing a lot of in the prologue. If you don't need to add a tag, what I've learned over the years is that you probably shouldn't. Not only does it make it easier to repeat yourself when you keep adding tags to things, but it's I don't know why that keeps stopping. I
Maybe it's a thing with OBS. Like it detects that there's recording software going, and then it stops the audio.
I've never had that problem with OBS before.
Bizarre.
I at first I thought it was my headphone cord pressing a button on my other keypad here, but I don't. No, I don't know what it is. Anyway, I guess I'll just keep doing that. Anyway, uh, so I'm gonna be fixing some tags in a bit. She stopped and looked back. What is it? She asked. I think the she asked there is a bit redundant, so I'm gonna remove that. Generally, if you already establish who is talking in a scene, I feel like the extra words don't really add anything, so I'm going to
Yeah.
be cleaning those up. This might sound odd, but where exactly are we going? He asked with a confused expression. She raised a brow. Are you serious? How can you forget? She asked. The boy shrugged. There was no answer he could give. The girl closed the door and faced the boy once again. The door was open? Oh, yeah, it was. Um, we're on the boat to our new home, the world's chosen institute. Geez, how long have you been asleep? She went on. Remember when I used to bold everything in the prologue? I should keep doing that.
Yep.
The boy scratched his head in confusion. I just used confused like 2 lines ago, so I think if I just have scratched his head, I think that's probably good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that gets the point across just
Yeah.
fine.
I think in most cultures, scratching your head is associated with confusion, so that's a little redundant there.
It's like there's one of two ways you can read it. Either he's confused or he just has a really bad itch. That's about it.
And given the context of the confusion just a second ago,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good question, he muttered, more to himself than to her. How long have I been asleep? So, institute. That means it's some kind of school, right? He asked. I don't really love how I go from Kazuna talking to Kazuna talking, but I can't think of anything else to put there, so I'm just going to leave that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He asked. The girl gave him a slight disapproving look, which was all the response he was going to get to that stupid question.
I love that.
He's not the brightest bulb.
Love
Hey,
that.
are you okay? Like in the head? Well, I guess you'd have to be to attend that place, so she continued on.
That line is like such a fucking uh like Scott Pilgrim-esque line, by the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I don't like that she continued on there because she's not really continuing. He was just talking. So
Yeah.
that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Um, she remarked, what word would you use to describe the tone of this sentence?
Uh, hmm.
Like sardonically, maybe?
I wouldn't. Hmm. Maybe. Hold on. Hmm.
Hey, are you okay?
She's not
Like,
really mocking him though.
yeah, no, what's the...
I think it's more quizzical than anything.
She remarked quizzically?
Yeah.
Quizzically. I guess so. Does that have two Z's?
Yes.
I don't use that word very often.
Yeah, quizzical of a person's expression or behavior, indicating mild or amused puzzlement. But it fits. It
Yeah,
fits.
yeah, there we go. Huh? Why's that? He asked. The he asked is there's only two people in the scene, so I'm gonna remove that.
Yeah, that doesn't need to be there.
You've seriously forgotten that too? What are you, the ultimate amnesiac? She asked in a joking tone.
See,
The
it's
boy...
good you removed that because then it would have repeated in the next line.
Yeah.
With she asked.
Yeah. The boy raised his own brow. I'm gonna move this to this line just to... You generally want to have, as much as possible, the speakers in the same segment of text be isolated to the speaker. So
Yeah.
it's a little awkward there. I do this sometimes. I do it a lot, actually. Sometimes just to fill things out. It's not the worst thing, but when possible, you want to keep the reaction of the speaker to the line where they're speaking. So I'm going to copy that here and then post that. And then that makes the he asked redundant because the line before it indicates who's talking.
Yeah.
The girl was dumbfounded. How have you forgotten all this? Did you hit your head somehow? She asked, now getting nervous. I'm going to keep this part, even though it's already established who's talking, because she was dumbfounded, and now she's getting nervous. So that's an important change of emotion.
Yeah, it shows how she's changing through the scene.
Yeah.
It works.
I'm sorry, but it is what it is. The first instance!
He said the thing!
A catchphrase is born! Anyway, he replied blankly. Because replying blankly is so strongly associated with this line, I'm going to leave that in.
Yeah.
The girl crossed...
It's good.
The girl crossed her arms and swung her hips back and forth jovially. Okay, so, you have amnesia. I guess it's interesting enough, she said. Again, that's a little... not necessary.
Yep.
Never mind. Since your memory challenged at the moment, I guess I'll play along and answer your question, she said playfully. The boy was a little confused. It was as if the girl had changed personalities on the fly. If only he knew. This was a very convenient... It's very convenient that Koyuki has this personality, because it let me get across a lot of exposition organically.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's totally the kind of person to play along with this scenario. So that was convenient for me. Like I didn't plan
Koyuki
it.
just finds this shit fascinating. So.
Thanks. So I guess I'd start with asking who you are, he said in gratitude. Oh, I'm Koyuki Mikasa, and I'm the ultimate ice skater, she said with pride. The boy nodded, but still seemed confused. This kind of formatting is a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Stock, but it's what the games do, so it's a homage. And there's the thing. You say that, but what is an ultimate? What does that mean? He asked. The girl seemed to be getting into this as she replied. I'm going to move that down to where she's talking.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of replied, I'm going to put explained here and then remove explained from the bottom part.
Okay.
And I think that flows a bit better.
Yeah,
and
that works.
Yeah, and like I'm probably going to say this a lot as we go through this thing, but nothing. It wasn't bad what I had before, but it could be. I think you might be starting to see how it can be cleaned up a bit.
Yeah.
For just smoother readability, which is what we're all about here. Especially since it's the opening, it's the first impression, so you want it to have as few stop gaps in the text as possible.
Yeah.
So that they're not thinking about you. What's somebody said this? I don't remember who, but it's like if the reader is consciously thinking about the writing, you're not doing your job well enough. And I think those little things make people stop and consider the writing instead of the story. The story should be what they focus on first, and then as they engage more with the text, they might focus more on the writing. But you don't want the writing to come through more than the story.
You don't want that to be like the forefront of their mind as they're going through it.
Yeah, and here's another example where I'm repeating he asked right next to each other, so I'm going to remove that second one. When it's only having conversations just between two characters is really convenient because then you can just back and forth without tags. It's when you have more than two characters where tags become increasingly necessary, and we're gonna get to those situations later. Anyway, the girl seemed to be getting into this as she explained. Well, an ultimate title means that we're the best at our particular interest, at least for high schoolers anyway. We're the peak of that particular talent. This is a mistake I make a lot, but at least is actually 2 words.
Yeah.
I don't care that much because people know what the fuck it means, but while I'm fixing shit, I might as well.
Yeah.
This is something Danganronpa fans don't always get, by the way. I think we've talked about that before, because the English word ultimate that they went with in the original localization for DR1.
Super high school level.
Yeah, one of the nuances that it doesn't get across is super high school level. Whatever the fuck the original phrase is, like Chojo Seisen or something. I don't know if you know that offhand.
Yeah,
but it means super high school level. So one of the nuances Ultimate doesn't get across is that they are the best for high schoolers. So in addition to this being a writing editing stream, it's also a Danganronpa trivia stream. You're welcome. We've run out of hot takes. This is the best we can do.
We've done all that shit. We've done it.
Yeah.
This is all you're getting now.
So, we're going to a school for the super talented? Yeah, it just opened. We're the first class to attend there. We got on this boat last night. We'll be arriving in an hour or so. Everyone above was worried, so I came down to check on you, Koiki explained. Now, I just used explained, so I'm going to remove that.
Yep.
Everyone? How many others are there? He asked. Again. Actually, I used it 3 times. Damn. Sloppy. Including you, there's...
Again, you wrote this at fucking 4 a.m.
Yeah. Including you, there... And it should also be obvious, I don't have an editor or any beta readers. It's just me. Yep. It's just me. I check it as I go, and then when I'm done, I take a quick glance through it, and if I don't notice anything super off, which again, it really is a quick glance, up it goes. It gets posted. So
yeah, and mind, I didn't actually read this until 1.5 years after it was posted.
Yeah. And it's gone through multiple changes there, because I did have to go back when I got the art pieces. I wrote the prologue long before I had all the official illustration renders in. When those came in, we did a bit of redesigning in that process, so I had to go back to the prologue and adjust the appearance descriptions. That's about the only thing I've touched since I originally wrote it. So those got fixed. Everything around them did not. Everyone, how many others are there? Including you, there's 17 of us. You were there with us when we boarded, I think, she said before trailing off. That part's important, so it stays. Yep. This is the first part this is getting into more general, like, Drex things. This is the part that's meant to throw off long-term fans. Like, 17?
Yeah, that's a bit more. That's a bit more than what's normal.
You think? Well, now that I think about it, I don't remember you there. Maybe you got picked up before the rest of us, she suggested. The boy shrugged. It was possible. This should probably be its own line.
Yeah.
Another
line right there.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind here is that I write for the web. I write for the internet, so I don't format like books. Books have a whole other formatting structure around blocking and fitting as much on a page as possible. I don't bother with that. I write in my mind, because this was especially because this was inspired by a series of visual novels. I write almost like you're reading a visual novel. So I go like one line, well, not one line, but like 1 or 2 or 3 lines at a time, like small blocks of text, just like a game would have.
Yeah.
Which I think works better for the web format. Oh, sorry, my alarm's going off.
I was wondering what that noise was.
Yeah, it was my phone alarm. Anyway, the boy shrugged. It was possible. So if we're going to a school for the talented, then what's my talent? The boy asked timidly. Koiki didn't have the answer to that. I like moving this down here because then you get that back and forth where she says something, he reacts, he says something, she reacts. It's nice, it's clean. I wouldn't know that, but I bet someone at the school could tell you, she said, shrugging. The shrugging is important, so I'm leaving that in. There was a break in the conversation where the boy took note of the girl's appearance. This is going to happen a lot in the prologue, because this is one of the things I hated about writing the prologue is it's just introduction after introduction after introduction, so a bit of repetition is necessary.
Yeah, so like that is something I noticed when going through the prologue, like for the first and second time, was that like by necessity it was very stop and go, with Kazuna just being kind of strung along to meet all the members of his, all the members of the cast.
Yeah.
In quick succession.
Yeah, and so like the game, I explained this to you way back when, but I'll explain it to the viewer now. The games can get away with opening. You'll notice that like every Danganronpa game, I think, opens with like big group scenes where everyone's like all together and reacting to something, and because it's a visual medium, they can get across a lot of information that I have to write out in text. Like, what does everyone look like? The games don't have to write that out because you can see their sprites. And you can see their expressions and you can see stuff like that. So they can open with big group shots because they don't have to describe everyone as they're being introduced.
Yeah, you can just look at the image and be like, this is this character, this is that character, here's the name, go crazy.
Yeah, it's a format that works very well for a visual medium. Unfortunately, this is prose, so I have to write it all out. And if I had to introduce them all in the same big group shot, that's part of the reason for the entire boat sequence, is because I needed to introduce them 1 or 2 at a time. I could not do that big group introduction like the games do without it coming across as just incredibly bloated. So that's me adapting the story to the medium in which I am telling it. The Spotify thing is driving me nuts. Anyway. There was a break in the conversation where the boy took note of the girl's appearance. She had short, stylish, light blue hair with a significantly darker blue streak in front. That works fine. I might want to use a different word for... What's a word for dark blue? Sapphire, maybe? Do you think sapphire work? With a significant...
Cobalt? That's more like... That's more of like a neutral blue, though.
Hold on, let me look here. What color is cobalt? Not the fucking rock dope. You know what? Cobalt works.
Okay.
So which fucking tab is this one? All right. With a significant cobalt streak in front. That works.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
She wore a white jacket slumped around her bare shoulders, her torso covered by a black shirt adorned by a simple snowflake design. It's actually a tank top, so I'm going to change that. Tank top. Adorned by... I used baya twice, though, so I think I'm going to change that to with. Adorned with...
it's worth noting. Tank top, sexy. Shirt, not quite as sexy.
Sure. She wore a white jacket slumped around her bare shoulders, her torso covered by a black tank top adorned with a simple snowflake design. Originally I used baya twice there, so that's just fixing that. Her skirt was a dark blue, beneath which were light blue thigh-high socks with darker vertical stripes, which were abruptly covered by rather fashionable-looking royal blue boots. So much blue. Just so much blue.
Yes, yeah, so, yeah, changing that one to cobalt helps to break up the monotony of that.
Yeah. I'm going to change this to sky blue just for some variety.
Yeah. Good call.
So what's your name anyway? Can't remember that. Can you remember that at least? Koyuki asked aloud, breaking the silence. The boy didn't have to think long. He remembered that much. Kazuna. My name is Kazuna Utano, he said plainly. Ooh, he weighs 126 pounds.
Thin boy.
For his age, is it?
I guess.
He's only 5'7". I think it's pretty normal.
Yeah, it's about average. It's about average.
I think yeah. I chose most of them at random. I was just like, what seems right? Anyway. Kazuna Utano. Talent unknown. Interesting, Koyuki muttered to herself. He wasn't exactly sure what was so interesting about it, but she could think whatever she wanted. Well, Kazuna, you seem like an interesting guy. I think you'll fit in fine with the rest of us. Speaking of which, you should go up and meet everyone. We're classmates now, after all, she concluded. All right, I'll do that, Kazuna replied as he watched her give a nod and leave the room, leaving him very confused. Kazuna stood up and examined his surroundings. If Koyuki hadn't told him, he wouldn't have guessed he was on a boat. It looked like an ordinary hotel room. He walked over to the mirror above the cabinet. He had the same look he remembered, his pale complexion, his long, messy crimson hair. His outfit was a little strange, but it didn't register that strongly. He wore a short black poncho. I'm going to change that to... I later realized that's called a rebozo. So
okay.
Yeah, that thing is a rebozo.
Okay.
A short black rebozo over a red t-shirt with a strange symbol or logo on it. He wasn't sure what that was. There were black straps on his forearms, and he wore black jeans and scarlet shoes. I don't like the repetition of the black.
Black.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of black.
The thing is, unlike blue, there's not a whole lot of like synonyms for black.
Yeah, I guess dark. So here's what I'm gonna do. The color of the straps aren't super important, so I'm gonna remove that. And plus, there's an illustration right there, so you can see it.
Yeah, you can literally just see what fucking color it is.
Yeah, there were straps on his forearms, and he wore... I'm gonna change that to dark jeans. So now I only say black once up here.
Okay.
So I think that works better. There were straps on his forearms, and he wore dark jeans and scarlet shoes. Huh? Did he always sleep with the shoes on? Whatever. I actually thought about... I remember thinking about that for a minute. I'm like, do I want to have a little bit where he has to put his shoes on? And I thought, no, that's boring. I'll just have him already sleep with his shoes on.
It's a lot funnier to have him sleeping in his shoes.
Yep. You could also think of it as kind of a callback because most of the games start with people waking up and they're already fully dressed. So
yep,
there you go. Anyway, he was in an unfamiliar situation, but it didn't seem like he was in any danger, so he didn't let it bother him too much. I'll probably remember in time, but I definitely feel like I'm supposed to be here, so it's most likely fine, he thought to himself. Well, he wasn't going to discover anything in this room. He decided to leave and meet everyone. It couldn't hurt to get to know his new classmates. Kazuna exited his room and headed into a gray hallway that led to other areas of the ship. He wasn't sure which way to go, so he chose to start walking left and hoped he'd run into someone. Did you know, this is just general trivia. You know when people are lost or don't know where they are, they have a tendency to go left?
Really?
Yeah, that's an interesting psychological thing. It actually was referenced in Hunter x Hunter during the tower sequence that when people don't know where they are, for whatever reason, most people have a tendency to go left. It's interesting.
That is interesting.
Anyway.
Nice Hunter x Hunter reference.
I guess so. He passed a lot of doors that probably led to other people's rooms. He didn't want to intrude on anyone who was resting. That wouldn't be a good first impression. I'm going to make that one sentence.
Yeah.
Soon enough, however, he found himself going up a flight of stairs to the main... I don't like this song. It's too active.
This shit needs to slow the fuck down.
Actually, that's probably good. All right. Where was I? That wouldn't be a good first impression. Soon enough, however, he found himself going up a flight of stairs to the main deck, where he was met with the light, salty breeze of the sea. The blue sky was filled with large, fluffy clouds, and the waves were flowing in sync with the calm breeze. It was a picturesque day indeed. Kazuna walked over to the railing and simply admired it for a while. He wasn't in any big hurry. He found himself in such a peaceful state of mind that he didn't even notice the person that snuck up on him. He nearly jumped when he realized there was someone standing beside him. "Oh, sorry," the person said. "I didn't mean to startle you." The person in question was a petite-looking boy with long white hair and red eyes. He would have been hard to miss if Kazuna had been at any degree of alertness. At first he thought it was a girl, but closer inspection made him pretty sure it was a boy. The boy wore a white and black trimmed fuku with black shorts and sailor boots. His sleeves looked a bit too long for his arms, but that didn't stop him from extending them out for a handshake. I like that transition there. That's nice.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Shiro's outfit is super easy to describe. "I'm Shiro Mizukawa. It's nice to meet you," he said in a nervous but enthusiastic tone. Kazuna nodded and shook the boy's hand. His skin was even soft like a girl's, though his grip was stronger than he appeared. I don't like "then he appeared." It just seems kind of clunky. His grip was stronger than one would have thought, maybe. His grip was stronger than one might have assumed. I think that works. His skin was even soft like a girl's, though his grip was stronger than one might have assumed. That flows nicely.
Yeah.
Right. "My name is Kazuna. Were you looking at the sea too?" he asked. I'm going to move this down because this is Shiro's line here. Shiro nodded intensely. "Yeah, it sure is nice out today. I love days when the sea is calm, because it means I can be calm too," he said with excitement. I'm going to say excitedly, just to shorten that up. Make that sweet. Because there's already a thing before it, so... shit. There you go. Excitemently. No, that's not right. Excitedly. There you go. "So you like the sea?" Kazuna asked. "Well, I should. I am the ultimate sailor," Shiro answered. Boop. "Ah, I see. I should have guessed from the outfit. Very sailor-y," Kazuna responded. "Yeah, I'm excited to meet everyone today. I've been working on my grandpa's fishing rigs for a long time, so I never get to meet people my own age," he went on. Kazuna simply nodded in understanding. "So, hey, what's your talent?" Shiro asked eagerly. Kazuna was taken aback and at first didn't know how to respond, but he figured being honest was probably the best course of action. "I actually can't remember," he admitted. So these are fine, because if it's just said, look, I know there's a sort of common bit of advice like don't fear the said, and I agree with that, but said can still be repetitive. But if it's something that adds to their current emotive state, like this is him admitting to something, so it's perfectly fine here, even if it adds what could be considered unnecessary tags. Huh? "You can't remember your own talent?" Shiro asked blankly. So he asked eagerly, and then he asked blankly. I'm not sure if that distinction is worth repeating it. I could go either way on that one. What do you think? Because it does show a change in emotive state, because at first he asks eagerly, and then he asks blankly, like, what?
Yeah, like he's just like taken aback, like, huh.
So I think that that contrast makes it work, I think.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine here.
Yeah. Yeah, it is how it is. Gotta start a running counter or something. Kazuna responded.
Ding! The "it is what it is" counter.
Yeah. These tags, I think, are a little unnecessary.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like just having "it is how it is,"
yeah,
just on its own, we already have it established that that's a thing Kazuna says.
Yeah.
So we don't need the indicator of who's saying it, so we could just have that as is.
Yeah. And then he responds, I see. Well, clearly you're dealing with your own things, huh? I want to change that to stuff. The expression is usually stuff. You could say that was all Kazuna had to answer with. There's a sense of finality to that topic there, so I'm going to leave that.
Yep.
The conversation drifted off like the waves of the sea, as they were both passively watched from above.
That's good.
Yep. The calm silence persisted several minutes until someone approached from behind. Sorry, it's Akihito, so I gotta do the thing. Shiro, this is where you ran off to, called out a strong voice. The pair turned around to see a tall and brusque figure before them, identifiably their age, but exuding a much more mature aura than either of them. Yeah, and look, look, the music stopped. Actually, speaking of music, when I first wrote this, I actually included little tags for what song I was listening to and what I thought fit in the background. But then I removed that because I'm like, no one's gonna fucking do that.
No. It's like that verges on songfic territory, and we're not doing that here.
Yeah. That didn't last long. Yeah, and look, he finally woke up, Shiro exclaimed happily, gesturing towards Kazuna, who looked back and forth at the figures with no discernible expression. Oh, so you're finally awake, huh? I was starting to get worried. Well, never mind that. I'm Akihito Gatsuki, the ultimate dentist. Glad to make your acquaintance, the man said as he extended a hand outward. Kazuna stared at it for a brief instant before realizing what it meant. He shook it lightly and looked over the man before him. I'm just going to change that to the man.
Yeah.
He had a strong jaw and determined eyes, and a big healthy grin, as one might expect of someone trained in dental practice. His slate gray hair was swept back atop a fade like a falcon's feathers, except for a single wing-shaped bang at the front, which was a more vibrant silver hue. He wore a tan Velcro tunic. I don't know what the fuck you call these things. I just went with Velcro tunic because
it works.
It works and it sounds snappy.
Yep.
A tan Velcro tunic with a lot. I hate everything.
Stop it.
With a large. Actually, you know what? Hold on. We don't need Spotify. I'm going to go to my music.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck Spotify.
Hold on. Z cassettes, moving box.
How the fuck does Velma not know what the quadratic equation is, but Peppa Pig does?
Wait, no, I don't want to open up Groove Music. What the fuck? No, what? No, what the fuck? Open with VLC. That's right, you're getting the same chill wave mix from the podcast. Let me check the levels here real quick. Okay, yeah, okay, that should be... put it about 30%. Okay, that should do it. Alright. Try stopping that offline music. The way of the future, I guess. Anyway. He wore a tan... Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. He wore a tan Velcro tunic with a large white open coat around it, befitting his talent, one might think. Ordinary jeans and work shoes were below that. He had the look of a sterling professional, aside from perhaps his purple-striped socks, though admittedly they matched his eyes. Likewise, I guess. My name is Kazuna Utano, Kazuna said amicably, if a bit on the nervous side. The man had a somewhat intimidating presence. Ah, very good. And if you should have any problems, dental or otherwise, please don't hesitate to come to me. In a manner of speaking, everyone here is a patient of mine as of now, Akihito declared boldly. Are you trained to handle problems beyond the dental? Kazuna asked blankly, still dazed by the man's enthusiasm. Akihito gleefully laughed it off. Not entirely, but I like to think of myself as someone people can rely on. Here, let me take a quick look at your chompers for you. the he said is redundant.
Unnecessary, yeah.
Kazuna felt a sense of unease. By the way, if I do this same shit in more recent chapters, more recent stuff I've posted, it's just force of habit. Like, just point it out, I'll probably get around to fixing it.
It's just as is, yeah.
This is me fixing a lot of force of habit stuff. I have learned and improved in the past 4 or 5 years, but it's a gradual process. And sometimes in the midst of writing a scene, you just do what feels natural.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kazuna felt a sense...
Yeah, like when you're writing, there's a certain flow to how you're doing things that like you just don't want to break, so that you can do editorial shit.
Yeah. Kazuna felt a sense of unease, but couldn't think of a good reason to deny the man's request. He opened his mouth wide, revealing his teeth to the man. The man. I'm just gonna...
The man, the myth, the legend.
The man, the myth, the legend, the dentist. Anyway, yeah. So I already said the man, so I don't need to say that again. Revealing his teeth. Akihito put a finger to his chin and examined Kazuna's teeth closely. Perhaps too close for comfort. Well, there's obviously things I can't tell without an x-ray, but from a glance I'd say you're in good shape. Excellent work, he proclaimed happily. I should probably expect this from a dentist, but you take dental health seriously, huh? Kazuna observed, closing his mouth. Of course, that is my job. But even beyond that, Akihito said before trailing off. Kazuna tilted his head in confusion. I'm going to keep that there because I guess that could be its own line, but it also doesn't need to be. Yeah. Because Akihito is going to start talking, so it's not like Kazuna is going to react strongly beyond that. Or, you know, yeah, I'll keep that as its own thing. I just think it's tragic what can happen when someone neglects their health. And in our busy lives, it's easy to slip up and take your teeth for granted. That's why I make it my business to push the importance of proper hygiene and care, he explained. I wish I took that lesson. I'm really bad at brushing my teeth regularly.
Yeah, same.
This is, I'm also going to get into, like, mindset stuff. So, this is, you probably know this from reading later. This is super, especially in his free time events, this is super important for establishing Akihito's outlook. This line about not taking things for granted.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the first instances, aside from the children talking at the beginning, where the theme of life really comes into play. Because Akihito has a very specific... He has a very specific mindset about how one should properly live their life, which kind of makes him a bit unique among the cast.
Yeah, and this is like... Because he is the character where it's like the most immediately necessary to establish that, you establish that first with him.
Yeah. Like, that's one thing I will say. I really, going back and reading these again, I'll probably keep saying that as we encounter more people, but I really like the introductions I made. I really think they fit their characters very well, and they're good first impressions of who they are.
Yeah, I love the introductions that you did here. Like, they're all very character rich, and you get a really good feel for who each of these people are just from a very short interaction and how they kind of react to Kazuna. Yeah,
the actual dialogue, pretty good. It's the stuff around it that needs cleaning up, and that's what we're here to do. Yeah. I think that's so cool, Shiro said excitedly. It's like the sea.
Like the thing with dialogue. The thing with dialogue is that you can kind of get away with a lot of like repetition in the way people speak, because that's just how people speak. That's how dialogue works in real life. It's just the prose around it. You don't want that repetition, and you don't want that monotony, because it just ends up becoming a very samey read, and it becomes distracting after a point. So, like, there's a difference between how one writes dialogue versus how one writes the prose around the dialogue. And like the dialogue in Drex is fine. Like that doesn't, generally speaking, that doesn't need to be changed. So like that part's fine.
I added a hint of sorrow upon his face here just to add some more impact to the explanation there. Anyway, I think that's so cool, Shiro said excitedly. It's like the sea. Even if it's easy for a lot of people to take for granted, it needs to be taken care of, he finished. Again, that's redundant there. Shiro fucking explains all of the way of water in one line. Akihito chuckled and pat the boy on the head. Indeed! Very much like the sea, he agreed. The agreement is important, so I'll keep that. Kazuna looked down at the floor. Taking things for granted. Was that really so bad? After all, he dismissed the thought. Anyway, I won't take any more of your time. You should walk around and meet everyone. We're all going to be classmates, so we should start getting to know each other. Akihito instructed Kazuna, who nodded timidly. This is a little clunky. Kazuna... Let's see here. I don't think that's important. I think I'm just going to remove that and go Akihito instructed. Yeah, I think that works. Kazuna's reaction there isn't super important. I don't think. No. What do you think?
I'm not sure.
I just can't...
Let me read over that again. Let me see. I won't take any more of your time. You should walk around and meet everyone. We're all going to be classmates, so we should start getting to know each other. Akihito instructed. Yeah, the big issue there is that, like, the whole thing is that this is Akihito instructing.
Yeah.
So, like, it kind of needs to be at the end of it. It's just really hard to figure out how to break that up.
Yeah, because I want to include the thing about Kazuna nodding timidly, but it's such a it's such a nonplussed reaction that it just feels like you can just kind of assume it, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm going to excise that.
Yeah, that's fine.
See you around, Kazuna, Shiro said energetically as he and Akihito walked off together. Kazuna wandered around the large deck for some time, not running into anyone. I'm going to change that to spacious.
Yeah.
I think large... It's too self-important. The deck is insisting upon itself. That sounds dumb, but I think you know what I mean.
I would add an adjective like wandered around the rather spacious deck.
Right.
I think that would flow better.
Yeah. For some time, not running into anyone. This with a
that creates repetition. Fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Let's see here.
I think you could sub quite with rather with quite.
This was quite a large cruise ship for only 17 people. The salty sea air whisked about pleasantly.
There we go. That works.
He went down the stairs and walked along the path that wrapped around the side of the boat. He was so distracted, gazing out at the sea, that it took him far longer than it should have to notice the patter of footsteps growing louder behind him. I think I'm going to move this thing about the air whisking pleasantly down here to where he's gazing at the sea, where it seems a bit more relevant, because it's a little random after this line. It seems a bit more relevant there, so I'm going to remove that.
Not only random, it just kind of like shifts the focus like one too many times between like a couple of different subjects. So it's like it's better to just kind of move it down there so that it flows better into what Kazuna is actively focusing on.
Right. He was so distracted, gazing out at the sea, I don't need to see there. The salty breeze whisking past him, that it took him far longer than it should have to notice the patter of footsteps growing louder behind him. By the time he turned around, it was... Why is this? Oh, it's JT. That's just a spelling error. By the time he turned around, it was too late. Someone crashed into him, and they both fell over onto the wooden floor with a thud. Did I already use thud? No, I used patter. Okay, that works. Kazuna looked up to see that a brown-haired girl had fallen on top of him. Before he could say anything, the girl pulled in her legs and rolled backwards to get off of him. She then casually jumped to her feet, pointing an accusatory finger at Kazuna. "Hey, I know that was kind of my fault, but I feel like you should have gotten out of the way," she declared, unsure of herself. "Yeah, I should have," Kazuna repeated, blankly. The girl had a short, rounded haircut and dull maroon eyes. She wore a dark, olive-colored hoodie with red lightning bolts across the front and sleeves, black athletic shorts, fuzzy cherry leg warmers, and running shoes. Short, snappy, sweet. It's like nothing complicated there. Yeah, you probably should have. Are you okay?" she asked, extending a hand. Kazuna stared at it longer than necessary before recognizing that she wanted him to take it. It's a good callback to the thing that just happened a while ago. He's very perplexed by people offering them hands. She pulled the boy up to his feet and scratched her head in embarrassment. "Okay, yeah, I should have stopped, but I just kind of figured you'd move," she said, realizing she'd been blaming him a bit too much. "Hey, why are you running anyway? It's a boat. There's nowhere to go," he observed. The girl looked taken aback. Why am I running? Well, running is what I do. I am the ultimate free runner, you know, she announced. I love how everyone just has that ready to go. It's such a Danganronpa thing, but I love how everyone just has that ready to go.
Why, I am this talent that I have.
It's cheesy, but it's a Danganronpa thing, so...
Yeah, and it works to get the point across.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a thing now. Yeah.
Free running? Like parkour? Kazuna inquired. That's a big part of it, of course. I run because I want to. Parkour just gives me ways to keep going when most people couldn't, she explained. That's an explanation, so I'll leave that.
Yeah.
Inquiry, explanation. This part is a little unnecessary.
Yeah, it's a question and answer, so...
You run because you want to, so why do you want to run right now? Well, to be honest, I'm getting stir-crazy waiting around on the ship. I never liked vehicles, really. I've always preferred to move my body. I've always preferred to move my body. I've never liked vehicles, really. I've always preferred to move my body. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Sitting around just doesn't do it for me, she exclaimed happily. You must have a lot of energy, then. I can't relate, personally.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
What are you thinking?
Honestly, this might be... let me think here. I've always preferred to have my body do all the moving, or something like that, maybe?
I've never liked vehicles, really. I've always preferred to move my body.
Yeah, no, that's pretty snappy, so we'll keep that as is. Okay.
Yeah, I think it seems clunky at first until you read it out loud, and you're like, no, that works.
Yeah.
Kazuna replied, probably not necessary.
Yep.
Yeah, I can tell. You seem like a pretty lazy guy. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to assume or anything, she said, backpedaling out. That has one L. Yep. It seemed like she had a habit of rushing forward, even in speech. Sometimes I say stuff I wish I didn't. Even my brain moves too fast, I guess, although I'm not too smart. But maybe I just don't have the patience for books and stuff, she rambled on. Kazuna listened intently, but she suddenly got self-conscious about how much she was dominating the conversation. That's it. That's a weird line, because we start with Kazuna's perspective and then immediately shift to Kirie's. I'm gonna reverse this, I think.
Yeah.
She suddenly got self-conscious about how much she was dominating the conversation, despite Kazuna's intent listening.
There we go. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Didn't even tell you my name. I'm gonna remove the I just because I think removing unnecessary little bits would fit her fast personality, I think.
Yeah, just very snappy and quick.
Oh, sorry. Didn't even tell you my name. I'm Kirie Amaya, she told him with a chipper smile.
Best girl.
I'm Kazuna Utano, ultimate... Well, I don't know just yet, he admitted sheepishly. She tilted her...
Yeah, you can tell that I like your writing when I can very definitively tell you who my best girl is in your story.
Yeah, this is her reaction, so I'll make it her own line. She tilted her head in confusion. You decided to come to the world's chosen institute before even knowing your talent? Wow, and I thought I had a problem with acting before, I think, she commented before wincing. She had inadvertently made a negative assumption again. It's not like that. I don't even remember how I got here, he admitted. That sounds like a complicated situation, but I hope it works out for you. Wow, that sure is interesting.
But I don't care,
Kirie said with an encouraging nod. Kazuna appreciated the gesture.
I love Kirie so much. I love her so much.
Kazuna appreciated the gesture, but for some reason wasn't able to stress over it. Everything felt right for some reason. Well, I've worked up an appetite with all this running. I'm heading to the kitchen, she said, rushing past him. Kazuna turned and watched her run off for a moment. She was really fast, as expected. Kazuna... Too many Kazunas.
Kazuna.
Kazuna desu.
Hi, Kazuma desu.
If anyone ever fan translates into Japanese, please do that.
Please absolutely do that, for love of God.
Yep. I changed that to he shrugged and kept on walking in the same direction. There wasn't anywhere to go but forward, after all. But something caught his eye as he passed a portside window. There was a figure running down the hallway. It was a stout man with messy brown hair, creased back by a pink bandana. His stubby legs carried him down the hall faster than one might think they could. Was that another classmate? Well, I guess it has to be. We're the only ones here, Kazuna thought. Still, something was off about that one. He made a turn around the bend onto the main deck, which had a built-in pool that shimmered in the sunlight. Around that pool were a couple of tables and long chairs for lounging. And lounging in those chairs made for lounging were two girls who were, as expected, lounging in the aforementioned chairs. This is the kind of repetition I like.
See, it creates, you know, like, just amusing bros. It's funny.
Yeah. It's definitely padding the word count. It's the man. I need 800 words for this essay of writing, but it's funny, so it stays.
Like it's intentional, so like
yeah.
it works to create a quirky, like,
yeah. This is also why I want to trim as much unnecessary repetition as possible to make room for all the intentional repetition I do. Because otherwise I think people might assume I have a problem. One was curled up.
You have many problems. This is not one of them.
One was curled up underneath the parasol, clearly preferring the shade. The other was outstretched, facing the sunlight head on. The dichotomy was immediately clear. There's no room for subtlety in my writing. It's just, I'm just, this meant something. This sentence, it meant something. I'm letting you know that. Ooh, I hear footsteps. Who is it? Is it the captain? The sun-baked girl shouted as Kazuna approached. The other girl chuckled politely and shook her head. Of course not. There's no captain. The ship is autopiloted, she said in a gentle tone. The girl in the shade had yellow-green hair, which was wavy and leaf-like, falling just above her shoulders. She wore a green cloak patterned with crisscrossing diamonds that wrapped around her petite figure as she huddled comfortably in the long chair, her long brown boots reaching up to her knees. In this position, Kazuna could notice her almond-colored short shorts, just barely visible beneath the edges of the cloak.
Long chair and long brown boots.
Lounge chair?
Yeah, that works better.
I also want to point out that this line was not originally there, I don't think, before I edited for the description. But I like it here because it's a nice first impression of where Kazuna's eyes tend to drift.
Yep.
Her emerald eyes looked at Kazuna intently as he took note of her pale complexion and light sprinkling of freckles.
Kazuna has two things on his mind at all time: bacon and thighs.
She was cute in an unconventional sense. She smiled lightly. You have a calm aura, despite being somewhat troubled. That's admirable, she said. I'm going to keep the she said because these are two kind of separate actions. I suppose I am troubled, but it's not bothering as much as it probably should, Kazuna responded honestly. The girl perked up, raising an eyebrow. I'm going to move that down, because that's her line down there. So, let me just copy. And remove that. That's exactly it, Kazuna said. Oh, sorry, I forgot to read that line. The girl perked up, raising an eyebrow. And what is that trouble? It feels like you've forgotten something. Maybe several things. That's exactly it, Kazuna said, unnerved by her accuracy. I don't remember how I got here, or this ultimate talent I'm supposed to have, he admitted. He's done a lot of admitting lately. I'll give him a break. The girl's expression turned serious, as if she was deeply considering something. And despite that, you're quite amicable. You're strange, but I sense you're a kind soul, she stated as a matter of fact. How do you know or sense all of that, he asked. You know, we haven't had a he asked in a while. I think I'll keep it.
Yeah, that's fine.
The girl blushed slightly for reasons that eluded Kazuna. I'm Nemiko Yuasa. Forgive my forwardness. I'm the ultimate empath, you see. I'm sort of attuned to these kinds of things, she admitted, twiddling her thumbs nervously. Empath? Is that a talent? I'm not sure I follow, he replied genuinely. So many comments I get about this. Empaths are attuned to the feelings, the thoughts of others. How about an
Feelings
and?
thoughts, yeah.
Of others. We are constantly affected by the moods of those around us. We're innately connected in this way, she explained, as if she was recalling a book's definition out of nervousness. Did I use nervousness before? Yes, I did. So I'm going to change this one to...
It's a synonym for nervous.
Insecurely?
Let me see here.
No, that's not good.
Anxiously works.
Anxiously, I might have used that around here somewhere.
Maybe?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, that works.
Yeah, not close enough for it to like,
Yeah.
be worth worrying about.
Yeah. I've always been this way, but I guess they consider me the most sensitive or proficient. I'm not sure myself, honestly, but I guess I've always wanted to counsel others, and a place like the World's Chosen Institute could probably use someone like me, she went on. I'm just going to check and make sure it's still recording. Yes, okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. I got rid of the yellow border because it was distracting me, so I have to check every now and again.
Ah, okay.
Or I feel whatever. Oh, I think I get it. Probably, Kazuna said. Yeah, I'll leave that in.
Yeah, that's fine where it is.
I can tell you're still confused. Like, I would have added something about how he's still confused, but then she just says it anyway, so it's...
Yeah.
I can tell you're still confused, but you aren't judging me for it, so that's good, Nemiko replied.
Yeah, and there are multiple characters in the scene, so it's good to define who's speaking here.
She was very good at reading people. That was Kazuna's main takeaway. The other girl's arm shot up in excitement. I'm here as well, she exclaimed, as if just reminding some detached third party witnessing the conversation from another plane of existence. Ah, hello, Kazuna said blankly, not sure to respond, not sure how to respond.
Yep.
Hiya, I'm Ultimate Gardener, the Sanae Yasuda, she called out. Oh, nice to meet you, Ultimate. I'm Kazuna, he responded plainly. No, she just mixed those up, Nemiko added sheepishly. I'm gonna remove that just because it's too much repetition.
Yeah. He literally tells you who's speaking.
Yeah. Oh, nice to meet you, Sanae Gardener.
Hi, Kazuna des.
Oh, nice to meet you, Sanae Gardener. I'm not sure what an Ultimate Yasuda is supposed to be, though.
I love Kazuna so much.
You did that on purpose, Nemiko sighed. Crocs! Anyway. Sanae had waist-length wavy brown hair and bright peach-colored eyes. She wore a banana-yellow shirt with frilly shoulders under a chestnut apron skirt one-piece. Whatever the fuck these are called.
Yeah.
Which had a sunflower decal on it, appropriate for an Ultimate Yasuda, or gardener, as were her outdoorsy brown Crocs fitting yellow striped socks. I like how that rhymes. As were her outdoorsy brown Crocs fitting yellow striped socks.
I love it. It's very
I'm
Seussian.
a regular Dr. Seuss, I was just about to say. The only plants here are fake, though, so I am off duty, she said with a laugh. She seemed like a fun-loving type. I take it you'll be in charge of any gardens at school? Kazuna asked. Oh, you bet. This region is perfect for so many plants. Temperate, but not too hot. Unlike me, obviously, she exclaimed with pride.
But not too hot.
Well, it's important to have confidence, Kazuna replied dryly. We were actually talking about nature for a while. I felt at peace with someone with... There's too much withs. With someone that has such a connection to it. I love walking in the forest whenever people get to be too much, Nemiko said. Is that a problem for you? As an empath? Kazuna asked out of concern. At times, I get very affected by people's negative emotions, too. Two? Why is there a two there? I can't figure out why that's there, so I'm going to remove that.
Yeah, that doesn't need to be there. It's not necessary.
At times, I get very affected by people's negative emotions. That's why I try to mediate between others as much as I can. Even if it's hard to manage, she answered with a sigh. I mean, she just... Nah, it's far enough.
Yeah.
Yes. You can sigh more than once. It's not illegal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just listen to me half the time.
Yeah. Oh, I'll try to keep myself in check then, he said. I appreciate that, was her stock response.
Don't worry, Kazuna. I don't think you have to worry about overwhelming her.
You specifically, maybe not. Don't worry, Nemeko. If you ever feel down, just come see me. I'm a renowned raiser of spirits, just not in a necronomical sense, Sanae reassured her. I do feel like you're not one to let things get to you. I might just do that, Nemeko stated happily. Kazuna felt he had a good read on these two. Well, I guess I'm trying to meet everyone. Do you know where I can find anyone else, he asked. Not really necessary.
I just love how perpetually effervescent Sanaya is. So good.
I think there was a group of boys playing cards in the lobby, Sanae declared, closing her eyes and letting the sun wash over her. It's just that way, Nemeko pointed past the pool to the sliding glass doors on the other side. Kazuna thanked them and moved on in that direction. He waltzed past the long glistening pool, the subtle breeze tickling the back of his neck. It was hard to quantify being on a boat and all, but he supposed he was actually pretty high up. As the sun hid behind the edge of the cabin roof, Kazuna saw something he hadn't before. A figure sitting next to the sliding glass door. I feel like I've used that phrase too many times. To the entrance. I think that's good enough.
Yeah.
Because we were just, lobby, entrance, makes sense.
Yeah, that works.
Its back against the wall, its knee bent up. It was definitely male, and it was definitely staring Kazuna right in the eyes. There was no malice, only curiosity. In the shade of the cabin roof, I think I used that phrase just a second ago. As the sun hid okay. That works. One feature was eminently prominent. His eyes. A strange orange hue that almost seemed to glow, but that couldn't possibly be. The man had a neutral, unreadable expression. Kazuna wondered if even Nemeko could detect any hint of what this person was thinking. He had dark brown hair, even more erratic than Kazuna's. He wore a long, blood-red coat that, were he standing, would have dropped to his knees. Nearly covering his mouth was an orange bandana, and in the center, a black star. If it meant anything, Kazuna wouldn't know. A simple black and white striped shirt underneath gave the impression of a prisoner. But what sort of prisoner? His brown tattered pants were more suited to a construction worker than a high schooler, though his black and white Converse were quick to correct that presumption. Everything about his appearance was strange and somewhat disconnected. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Who are you? The man asked in a soft but raspy tone. I'm Kazuna Utano. Is everything alright? He replied hastily. I'm going to say, was his hasty reply, just to reduce repetition there. The atmosphere was strangely tense. Up until this point, Kazuna had felt a sort of tenuous peace, despite the strange situation he found himself in. But now, he was beginning to awaken to doubt and uncertainty. Of course, the man stated plainly. Forgive me, you just seemed very familiar. Kazuna raised an eyebrow, scratching his head in confusion. I'm gonna move that down, and then move this up, so that's one line.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I saw you, there was a part of me that thought I was looking at an old friend. But it's gone now, the man answered. It's possible, I guess. I'm having trouble remembering things at the moment, Kazuna suggested. I'm going to move this down and move this up to make this one line.
Consolidate.
The man simply shook his head somberly, biting his lip. No, it isn't possible. Forget I mentioned it. Okay, then, I'll just add it to the list of things I've forgotten recently. Kazuna said jovially, trying to lighten the mood. He had a strange feeling in his chest that he just couldn't shake. You've forgotten your talent, right? And you've also forgotten how you got here? The man asked, clearly rhetorically. Kazuna was a little taken aback. What? How did you know that? He demanded, a bit shaken. You know, I think this is redundant, because I say taken aback and then a bit shaken. This already gets the reaction across. This is just, I think, a little unnecessary. Yeah. A faint smile crossed the man's lips as they formed the words. I am the ultimate broker. Information is my specialty, just as vital to my survival as the blood in my veins. But to be more specific, your presence here hasn't gone unnoticed by the others. Or unmentioned, he explained. It was true, Kazuna thought. He had already talked to several people. Any one of them could have spread that information. Or maybe this guy simply overheard it. Whatever the case, there was nothing odd about it. I think I get it, but what's your name? Kazuna asked, trying to maintain a friendly tone. You can call me Naoya Ruazoji. Don't force yourself to use the whole thing if it's difficult, he added. Ruazoji. I'm sorry, that doesn't sound real. Is that a fake name?
I love how it's Kazuna of all people who notices that.
Naya only snickered in response. I'm going to add that down. I'm going to lower that.
Yep.
And put it up here.
Yep.
Fake name. That's such a weird concept. A name is just a label. A label is a piece of information, and that information can be anything you want. The truth is only what we can make the world believe, he went off. So, it was a lie? Kazuna was getting a little confused. That's a period, not a comma. Who dictates what labels apply to me? Myself, of course. You can't lie about your name. You can only decide the truth, he retorted. Beautiful.
Love it.
I mean, what's written on your birth certificate? Kazuna demanded, trying to be more direct and avoid being pelted with riddles. But he suspected it was a fruitless endeavor. I've never had one of those. You won't find the name Naoya Ruazoji on any official records. I was born in a place with no law, you see. If I was ever given a name, that information is lost, he explained. So, you're like a ghost, Kazuna suggested bluntly. The bluntness is, important, so I'll leave that in. A ghost. No. A ghost wanders aimlessly. Invisible, yes, but also unable to interact with or change anything around them. I, on the other hand, have had a great impact on our world. Information isn't worth much if you can't act on it, he answered. I think he already answered a second ago, so I'm going to leave that as like that. I think I understand. You have no truth, so nothing you say can technically be a lie, Kazuna theorized, crossing his arms. This conversation was surprisingly stimulating. I think I like this interaction, and especially this line, because ideally the reader is coming off of V3. So I think this is a good recontextualization of some of that game's themes, like right off the bat.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a pretty insensitive way of putting it. You don't pull your punches, do you, Kazuna? Again, not really necessary. Well, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yep, just keep it as is. We already know.
Naya sprung up to his feet and walked briskly toward Kazuna, extending a pale hand. If nothing else, I hope we can come to understand each other better. Again, not necessary.
Yeah, it's just two people back and forth at this point.
Kazuna looked down at the hand, hesitating for a brief moment before shaking it firmly. This is the third time he has hesitated to shake someone's hand.
Yep.
It's always like an important event, drawing attention to it. But
it's a very important character detail.
But he couldn't bring himself to look Naoya in the eyes. It was overbearing. As Naoya... I just said Naoya. As the man began to walk away, he suddenly stopped. Oh, and one more thing, he muttered. Kazuna turned and cocked his head, listening closely. There's no such thing as ghosts, was all Naoya said, in a cadence no more than a whisper. Kazuna watched as the ultimate broker walked away, his red coat flowing in the breeze. As Naoya put up his baggy hood, Kazuna noticed something peculiar etched across the man's back. On the back of his coat was a graphic design of a lone skull being impaled by a medieval-looking sword. It was simultaneously unsettling and strangely uplifting. Kazuna didn't know what to make of it, so he just stood there in silence for a brief moment that felt all too long. So that's the first part, and I think I have cleaned that up pretty nicely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to post that edit.
Yeah, there aren't a whole lot of major edits that you had to make here, but the main thing was just trying to get everything to flow a little bit better and to reduce repetition. I think it reads better now. I think it reads a little bit better now.
Yeah. So we'll go on to part 2. I'm going to pause real quick so I can use the bathroom.
Same.
Right. So I'm gonna pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. Okay, we're back.
Yep.
On to part 2 of the prologue, Arrival. Looks different. Whatever. All right. So let's get started. When Kazna opened the sliding glass door, it appeared the boys had dispersed and the card game was through. What remained was a man with vibrant pink hair, sitting formally at a table and shuffling a deck of cards midair. His glasses glared as he looked up at the newcomer. "Another unworthy opponent has entered my midst," he said in a snobbish tone, placing the deck down with a thud. So it's just a bit of trivia. Interestingly, I was originally going to have this whole card game set up with like multiple characters at the table, and it was going to be like a whole like multi-part introduction to several different characters. But I couldn't really figure out a great way to do that when I set that up in the first part. So by the time I got to the second, I just said they already dispersed. So
Yeah.
I had better ideas. So whatever, it works as an introduction for Mitsuo anyway.
Yep.
"I'm sorry," Kazuna said sincerely. "Well, I'm glad someone here knows their place. That much is a refreshing change of pace," the man replied. Kazuna took notice of his attire, consisting of a... Wait, oh, sorry, I forgot to... Oh, the music was done. There we go. Sorry, very sensitive to that. Consisting of a plaid red shirt with long sleeves with prominent cuffs. Too many widths. Long-sleeved red shirt, I think, is what I will say. Plaid long... Sorry, no. A long-sleeved plaid red shirt with shirt with prominent cuffs. Atop this shirt was a thin plum-colored vest. His pants were mustard yellow and of an unusual tightness. He wore polished shoes that might befit that of a bartender. Kazuna couldn't tell if the man was far ahead of current fashion or simply unfashionable. Not that he knew much of fashion himself. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I just don't have anything to add.
No, sorry. It was just so quiet I thought you might have disconnected.
Nope, still here.
So, who are you? Kazuna asked. "I'm supposed to go around to meet everyone." The man only grinned as he adjusted his glasses. I'm going to move that down. And then move this back up. "Well, you might as well stop here. You won't find talent greater than mine. I am Mitsuo Hoshoki, the ultimate chess player," the man called Mitsuo Hoshoki, the ultimate chess player, explained.
That's another one of those little bits of, like, intentional repetition.
Yeah. This is unnecessary. "That does sound pretty great, but I think I'll talk to everyone else regardless." Ooh! Boom! Got him! I prefer that you did. My patience from mingling with my lessers has waned considerably after the various unpleasant encounters I've had today," Mitsuo complained. "Do you know where the others are?" "There's a group of people gathered in the kitchen and another pair downstairs. Consider this information a gift for not annoying me too badly, all things considered." I can't think of another... What's the word I'm looking for? He answered... If I can't think of a good adjective for that, it's going. Or adverb, I mean.
Answered, replied, I don't know.
No, he answered... something that refers to his emotive state
Answer, yeah.
in the line. Bitterly? I think that works.
Yeah.
"Right," Kazuna said, raising a hand to his chin. Which way to go? There wasn't any real pressure either way, but Kazuna still found it a confounding question. There's already a Kazuna on the line, so I'm going to change the he. Yep. Mitsuo sighed. "Look, just so you get out of my sight, I'll draw a card. If it's even, go to the kitchen. If it's odd, go downstairs," he explained and pulled from the deck. A single 5 of hearts fell to the table. "Downstairs it is, then," Kazuna remarked as he moved in that direction. Mitsuo shuffled the deck once more in silence, relieved to be alone. It was a brief exchange, but Kazuna got the feeling Mitsuo wasn't one for friendly chatter.
Really?
I could not tell, honestly. I think I was too subtle there. But I'm not changing it. Kazuna descended the chrome stairwell into a dim corridor of metallic sheen. Into a dim corridor of metallic sheen. Filled with metallic sheen? Descended the chrome stairwell into a dim corridor filled with metallic sheen.
I guess.
Yeah. No.
I guess that works.
The faint humming of the ship's systems echoed throughout, creating an uneasy environment.
Corridor with like a metallic fin. I don't know.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine as is. Keep it.
Kazuna could see his blurry reflection in the walls. It was odd seeing such a distorted version of yourself. I'm going to change that to himself because it technically changes perspective there, which is weird. As he was about to take a step forward, he felt a hand grasp his shoulder. He jutted around to see a figure before him, one that had come from the other end of the hall. The figure was slightly taller than Kazuna and masculine. That's clunky.
Yeah.
Let me think here. Slightly taller than Kazuna.
Sorry, I found something. It's that fucking cable is too expensive thing where it's like, someone puts up all of the streaming services versus cable.
Sure.
Someone posted an edited screenshot of Spider-Verse that says, "Let me tell you the good news. We don't need Peacock."
That's good. The figure had a firm masculine build, slightly taller than Kazuna's. I think that works.
Yeah, that's good.
No, I think I'll write his own. That works. His hair was uniquely stylized, black, but in a shape that conjured images in Kazuna's head. I'm going to put mind. I don't know why I said head. A spider, a crown, with tips dyed a sharp neon green. Despite the sharpness, it wasn't particularly threatening. If anything, it gave him a laid-back feeling. He had a rugged-looking grin above a diamond-shaped duster beneath his lip. I've gone back and forth on whether I like this description. He had a rugged-looking grin above a diamond-shaped duster beneath his lip. Because on the one hand, I kind of like the up and down and up sort of...
Yeah, it gives the intention of, like, Kazun is just, like, scanning his body and just kind of, like, looking him up, literally looking him up and down.
Yeah, I like that effect, but it's definitely a line that someone might have to read twice.
I think it's fine as is because, again, it helps to understand what Kazuna is actually focusing on and, like, his thought process. So I think it's fine as is.
Sure. He wore prominent but not overbearing eyeshadow and had several silver piercings on his right ear. His arms looked firm and built, coated with dark, vaguely tribal tattoos. I think the dark is a little... I think most people would assume it's dark.
Yeah.
He wore a plain black t-shirt, over which hung a shark-tooth necklace. Below were a pair of baggy brown cargo shorts and tanned hiking boots. It was simple, but somehow a lot to comment on. "Hey man, what's going on? Don't think we've met," he said. His voice was raspy and distinct, but casual. I think I'm gonna say... That's a lot of descriptors, but they're all important.
Yeah.
Let me figure out how to phrase that here. He said, in a tone, raspy and distinct, but casual. He said in a tone, raspy and distinct, but casual. I think that works.
Yeah.
That's because we haven't, was Kazuna's simple reply. The man blinked in surprise and shook it off. "Well, I wasn't sure how to approach. Don't give me a hard time about it," he said defensively, crossing his arms. "I didn't mean to." I'm going to say... I don't like how many Kazunas there are here, but I don't know how else to... The clarification bit is necessary. So, I didn't mean to... I can't think of a better thing for that. The man eased his posture a bit. "Good. Anyway, I'm Ryuto Sonoda. Don't give me a hard time, I won't give you a hard time. That's just how I like to get by," he said, as part greeting and part warning. "Don't worry. I don't like trouble either," Kazuna reassured him. "That's good. I don't know why, but people always like to start trouble with me. It's a curse, I guess. Just earlier, that guy in the white coat was giving me shit about my ink, telling me how it's unbecoming of a student or whatever," Ryuto ranted. White coat. Do you mean... This is one opportunity I will take to actually remove an extra tag. Yep. White coat. Do you mean Akihito? Yeah, him. Not 2 seconds into my introduction and he starts lecturing me. What does he think he is, anyway? He said he's someone we can rely on. Pfft. Ryuto scoffed. Pfft. I don't need to rely on someone like him. A busybody, that's what he is. Probably some insecure type that needs to boss people around to feel like he's worth a shit, you know? If you say
Oh,
so.
Ryuto, you are so on the money you don't even know.
If you say so, Kazuna said, unsure. He wasn't comfortable taking sides yet. Reminds me of my dad. He was always telling me I couldn't do this or that either. But I'm an ultimate now, so I ain't gotta listen to him anymore, Ryuto said with a groan. I don't know if I meant grin. I could see both. I don't know which I was going for, but I think I'll leave that as is.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's your ultimate talent? Oh, right. Should have said earlier. I'm the ultimate stylist. It's a bit more than that title implies, though. I do hair, piercings, makeup, and clothing, but I also do stuff like graphic design, so I'm kind of a jack of all trades. All things style, anyway, he explained. Well, you certainly look the part, Kazuna commented. Hard not to when you're in as deep as I am. But speaking of, what part are you supposed to look like? I can't figure it out, man, he said, changing the subject. Oh, I'm not sure yet. I can't remember, was the honest response. Can't remember? What, did you hit your head somewhere? Ryuto asked with a blank expression. I think that's unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but maybe I wouldn't remember that either. Huh. But you do remember your name, right? I don't think you've told me that yet, he prodded. That's because I didn't, Kazuna stated plainly. Hey man, it's just a phrase, okay? Of course I knew you didn't, Ryuto murmured, embarrassed. I'm Kazuna Utano. It's good to meet you, is what I'm supposed to say? He answered, jutting out his hand for a handshake. This is the payoff for the multiple times. Yeah.
Starting to get it. Starting to get it. This is how human beings interact.
He's learning, adapting like a infant learning the ways of the world.
My boy Kazuna. He's growing so fast.
Why was that a question? Whatever. It's good to meet you too, Ryuto pondered, reluctantly shaking his hand. He's reversed the situation. You know,
I love how these two are just so blunt in such vastly different ways.
Yeah.
That they both end up just confounding each other.
You know, you seem alright, Kazuna. A little off, but alright. A lot of the other guys I met were either smug pricks or just kind of weird, Ryuto went on. I already did a Ryuto tag a second ago, so I'm gonna put that off. Really? I guess Mitsuo was kind of high and muddy, Kazuna mused. Kind of. Man, that dude looks down on everyone. I can't stand it. I can already tell he's going to be a pain in the ass. Ryuto gave his thoughts on the chess. I mean, I don't like that. Because it's like, he gives his thoughts on the chess player, and then I tell you what he just did. So, yeah.
It's a bit much.
Shiro seemed nice, Kazuna blurted out as he thought back. Yeah, he's a good kid. Even said my ink was cool. I don't know why he's hanging around that dentist jerk, though. Hope he doesn't start acting like him. This is unnecessary.
Yep.
What the fuck? What the fuck happened? Undo. Okay. I don't know why that happened.
That was weird.
The only other guy I met is Naoya. Naoya, huh? That guy's a mystery. But in my experience, mysteries are usually trouble in one way or another. Maybe he's alright, but I keep an eye out. Ryuto offered his viewpoint. See, I feel comfortable leaving that in.
Fine.
I feel comfortable leaving that in because I just got rid of all the other ones where I told you that. So I think this makes more point.
It's reestablishment at this point.
Speaking of mysteries, another voice shot out, this one more feminine. The guys turned to face a new figure that stood before them. It was a slender girl with long, straight violet hair. She had striking magenta-colored eyes and a stern demeanor. A simple black cardigan and tight skirt gave a professional look, but the hot pink leggings projected a contradictory, rebellious attitude. Huh? Ah, it's you again, Ryuto sighed. Who is this? Kazuna inquired. You know, I think it makes enough sense that it would be Kazuna saying it. Especially since she talks right after that, so I'm gonna remove that.
Okay.
Ah, so you're finally awake. Everyone is accounted for then, the girl declared to herself. I've heard about you from the others, Kazuna, that you can't remember your talent, she said. I already had like a tag, so that's fine.
Yeah.
That's right, Kazuna admitted sheepishly. Well, it certainly is curious, but I won't press you about it, she mused, putting a finger to her curled lips. As for your question, I'm Anzu Hiragi, and I'm the ultimate lawyer, for lack of a better term. She introduced herself as such.
Okay, so for that line, I feel like you can consolidate that by removing the last bit and bringing that back up to the... and taking what she says there and bringing that back up to the, like, the line before. I think that works really well.
Yeah, okay. That works.
Yeah.
I mean, it already is an introduction. I don't need to tell you it's an introduction.
Yeah.
Lack of a better term. Does that term not fit? Kazuna asked with a perplexed face. I'm just gonna put perplexed.
Yeah.
It's fine, more or less. It's more or less fine, but it doesn't quite describe what I do. I'm more a paralegal agent than anything. I uncover secrets as well as hide them for the right price, she explained. But a lawyer is someone who knows the law in and out and can take on cases in court. While that isn't my primary focus, I do fit that description in most ways, she went on. Instead of winning on, I think I'm just going to consolidate that. So what? You gonna grill him too? Ryuto chimed in abruptly. I don't think I'm very tasty, was Kazuna's sullen retort. He-Man asked questions, and yes, I'm gonna put a comma there. Yes, I was, if you must know, Ryuto, she stated firmly, giving him a sharp glance. He brushed it off with a scowl. I wanted to know if you've seen Keita Tenma, she requested. Who? Kazuna uttered in confusion. He's a short dude, kind of chubby, wears a bandana on his head, Ryuto said. I'm gonna say said filling in the blanks. I think that flows better. Kazuna lightly slammed his fist on his other palm. I'm sure there's a phrase for this fucking anime trope, but I don't know. It's like the people that go like, yes.
Yeah. Just.
But that's the only way I know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have. I saw him run down this hallway from outside the windows, he answered. I'm gonna consolidate. This hallway, you say? Which way was he going? Anzu pressed for more information. Said, pressing. I know what I was going for, but I don't think it flows as well. And
these are instances where you can add the said and then a descriptor of
I think I was trying to avoid said there, but I think since I got rid of some other tags, I think that works fine.
Yeah, it's fine here. It's just pointing out who's talking and then what they're doing, so you're good.
Kazuna lined up the directions in his mind and pointed down the hall past where the stairs stopped. Why are you so interested anyway? I guess everyone's got a type, huh? Ryuto mocked. Anzu turned her head sharply and grunted. It's nothing so juvenile. I'm just wary of him is all, she said defiantly. All this is important, so I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
Wary? Why? Kazuna parroted. Anzu crossed her arms, as if pondering whether to divulge. 17 students. No matter how I rationalize it, that's just too awkward a number, isn't it? She said, spilling her train of thought. Is that all? What, is an odd number against your feng shui or something? Ryuto remarked with a chuckle. It's not just that. I like the phrase, it's not just that, as if she's a practitioner of feng shui. I'm not confirming if that's canon or not, I just think it's a funny thing. I don't know if you've gotten a close look at him, but there's something off about him. He doesn't look like a high school student, is what I'm getting at. She elucidated. Whoa, I had the thesaurus open that night.
Woo!
Is that so? Was all Kazuna could think to say. Man, whatever. I ain't gonna give the guy a hard time just because he looks weird or something. But you do what you gotta, I guess, Ryuto said dismissively as he started climbing the stairs. See you around, Kazuna, were his parting words. Should that be consolidated, or is that fine the way it is? Because it's kind of two separate thoughts.
Yeah, that's fine.
There was a brief silence as Anzu evaluated her options. Well, I'm going to have a word with Keita regardless, and I think you should come along as well, she announced. Kazuna was taken back by the
Yeah, that's a new line.
Yeah. Kazuna was taken back by the suggestion. Huh? Why's that?
There we go.
You can't remember your talent. Thing is, nobody seems to know what Keita's talent is either. Perhaps you're in similar situations. Worth investigating, wouldn't you say? She reasoned. Hearing that did pique Kazuna's interest somewhat. Maybe Keita Tenma knew something that he didn't. After momentary consideration, he nodded in agreement. All right then, follow my lead, she said. They both started walking down the metallic corridor, their footsteps reverberating around them. Even if some things are strange, why are you so interested in investigating? Kazuna asked, trying to make conversation. This line perplexes me so much. I have no idea what I intended him to I don't know what thought's being communicated here. I read that line and I thought I have to do this video because I don't. What is this? What is this line?
I don't. What were you? I'm not sure what was going through your head when you wrote that.
So even if
some things are strange, why are you so interested in invest? It's such a clunky line.
I don't know what I wanted him to communicate there. She answers, truth be told, everything about the world's chosen institute has been strange to me ever since I first heard about it, so I'm going to change it to something relating about that. I think...
Okay.
I don't know what this first part is supposed to imply.
So even if some things are strange...
I don't know what I meant, and I'm kind of embarrassed that was up for 4 years. Because I don't know what that line was supposed to mean. I don't see old lines that often and wonder what the fuck I meant, but this is one of those times.
The rare instance.
So I'm just gonna change that to so. What makes you think? Oh no. Give me a second. What strikes you as worth investigating?
There we go.
I think that works. Kazuna asked, trying to make conversation.
Yeah, because like the previous line has kind of a little bit of that, like, first pass translation energy to it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna consolidate this. The omitting part is important, but I think I'm gonna consolidate that into one line.
Yeah.
Anzu paused without stopping. Truth be told, everything about the world's chosen institute has been strange to me ever since I first heard about it, she admitted. How so? Think about it. An organization suddenly crops up promising amazing educations and handing out these ultimate titles. Between you and me, the specifics of their story are more than shaky. It all sounds too fantastic, I suppose.
Yeah, that's fine where it is. Yep.
Really? Somehow it just seems right to me, Kazuna commented. So what I think... What's fun about this is that a lot of this prologue is very assuming that you are extremely familiar with Danganronpa.
Yeah.
So this is sort of, in a metatextual sense, it establishes that this setup, for whatever reason, feels right to Kazuna, contrasting what Anzu says here. She's injecting some like she's injecting some realistic skepticism into a scenario that usually goes without too much questioning.
Yeah.
But it feels right to Kazuna, who has the symbol on his shirt. So take that what you will.
Yeah.
Anzu
like it's good because, like, technically speaking, this is being written as if it's a new installment of Danganronpa.
Yeah.
But there's an intentional disconnect between the majority of the characters, you know, considering this to be a strange, unusual situation that they're in, you know, all of them going to the same place on this fucking boat.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kazuna's just like, I don't know, seems fine to me.
Yeah. It's supposed to... Go on.
And, like, you can read that multiple ways as just, you know, Kazuna being kind of this functionally a child in his mind, not really understanding what's, you know, a normal situation for anybody to be in. But you could also read it as, you know, kind of a deeper implication of, you know, what his real talent is, and what his origins are.
I mean, you don't know.
I like it. Yep, I like it.
I mean, you don't know what his talent is.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know why you'd say that, but okay.
I mean, it's what I mean. It's deliberately something you can kind of like read into in multiple ways here.
Yeah, sure. It's just meant to play with the audience's familiarity, and establish that this will be the same but something different.
Yeah.
Anyway, Anzu shook her head. Anyway, that's why I was interested in attending the school more than anything else. I have an affinity for strange happenings, I've been told, she said with conviction. Like what? For example, I once had to find legal evidence of brainwashing going on at a suspicious lumber mill, Anzu provided. Yes, this is a series of unfortunate events reference. You're welcome. Brainwashing. Well, more specifically, hypnotism. Turns out it was happening during I meant routine. I don't know why that was there. Routine eye exams at the local optometrist's office, she explained. Right. Have you ever turned a case down? That sure is interesting. But I sure don't care.
There's so much of that with Kazuna. It's great.
Have you ever turned down a case, I wonder? Kazuna asked, his mind wandering as the chrome floor numbed his thoughts. As watching the chrome floor numbed his thoughts. Only once. A client wanted me to prove his employee was innocent in a murder attempt. It's clear she's answering. Yeah. Well, what was wrong with that? Did you think they did it? It wasn't that. It was a circus, okay? I don't like clowns, she admitted. Oh, well, I suppose everyone has a weakness, Kazuna reasoned. Don't tell anyone I said this, but I actually jumped a bit when I first saw Mitsuo's pants. Only a little, I swear, she confided just to make conversation. Kazuna recalled Mitsuo's mustard yellow jeans and nodded. Yeah, they do resemble a clown's pants, don't they? Mitsuo has a strange sense of fashion.
She's not loving it.
You're one to talk. What do those straps on your arms even do anyway? She inquired, turning the accusation back at him. Kazuna looked over the black straps on his forearms with a look of mild curiosity. Huh. I don't remember. Can't imagine they serve any real purpose, though, he mumbled. The further they traversed down the chrome hallway, the louder the subtle humming sound became, until they were face to face with the door titled Engine Room. The door was cracked open ever so slightly, and from within they could hear the rattling of mechanical parts, as well as the mumblings of a man. I used mumble twice there. I'm going to think of a different word here. Let's say murmured. The mumblings of a man. Without exchanging a word, Anzu looked at Kazuna and then back to the door, giving it a slight push. There they found a man of short stature, rummaging through an iron crate. Looking for something? Anzu called out. The man's head shot out of the crate in an instant and smashed against the bottom of the shelf it was positioned around. With a yelp of pain, the man pivoted wildly to face them. Gah! Yes, what is it? The man cried. Sorry, I only asked if you were looking for something, Anzu repeated. No, or maybe. I'm not looking for anything specific, if that's what you mean, he stammered, looking around nervously. Well then, we just wanted to introduce ourselves, seeing as we'll be classmates as soon as we arrive, Anzu said, leading the conversation. Ah, right, of course. Of course you'd want to do that. I'm Keita Tenma, and I am the, ultimate technician, let's say, he stuttered, as if Anzu's request was both unexpected and irrational. Two things it very much wasn't. I really fucking like that line.
Yeah. Error.
Technician. That's a little vague, no? She pressed him. Not at all. It just means I'm good with technology, obviously, Keita said, defensively. These are all important traits of what they're saying, so they're all staying. What sort of technology? Anzu pressed further. Pressed further. That works. Communications, mostly. I work a lot with radios and audio-visual equipment, he specified, twitching slightly. No need to shake, Kazuna blurted out. I'm not shaking. You just startled me, and I hit my head is all. If I was shaking, which I'm not saying I am, but if I was, it wouldn't be strange at all, would it? Keita rambled.
I'm not shaking, you're shaking.
I guess not, Kazuna agreed. But what I do think is strange is you, Keita. I can't help but notice you look a little old to be a high school student, and a first year at that, she said, her tone direct and accusatory.
Aren't you a little old to be a high school student? Why, yes. Yes, I am.
It was true that he looked very out of place, even among a group as assorted as the one Kazuna found himself with. Keita had messy brown hair tucked behind a dirty pink bandana. His face was round and gruff-looking. His nose was plump with a thin mustache underneath. He was short, only up to Kazuna's chest, but his build was stocky. His arms were muscular and hairy, though he a bit overweight.
He a bit overweight.
He was a bit overweight.
Yeah.
He wore a green polo shirt, which might have looked appropriate for a golf course were it not for the fact that it was faded and torn a bit on the shoulder. It looked like it was just a shirt he had found somewhere. His brown shorts were the same, at a glance normal, but upon closer inspection, ever so off. Really? I get that a lot. I have some genetic dispositions, you see. But no, I'm starting high school, just like all of you, he said, taking a step back with an anxious cough. Is that so? My apologies. I shouldn't judge from appearances, Anzu said in a tone that sounded almost sincere. No worries. Now, if you excuse me, I'm feeling a bit peckish. I think I'll help myself to the kitchen, Keita said, scooting past the inquisitive pair and out the engine room door. Come to think of it, I'm feeling hungry too, Kazuna remarked. Anzu put a hand to her chin in contemplation. It might be a subconscious thing, but wouldn't it have made more sense for him to say the rest of us rather than all of you? She posed the question. That's probably not going to translate well. Sorry, Belgian girl. What do you mean? Kazuna asked. Redundant. The former would imply he considers himself one of us, a student of our new class. The latter implies he thinks of himself as separate from us, she explained. Maybe, but what does that mean? I'm not sure, but he doesn't seem interested in answering personal questions, so it'll be hard to find out. Sorry I dragged you along for nothing, she said. This time for more sincerity. I think I meant with.
Yeah.
These little errors you catch. This is why most people have editors. Kazuna shook his head. No, I'm trying to meet everyone anyway. I'll probably go up to the kitchen myself, actually. I doubt you'll find Keita there. I'm pretty sure he just said that to get away with us, she warned. That's fine. There's still others I haven't met yet, Kazuna said as he headed back down the chrome hall, leaving Anzu alone to think to herself. Not much ran through Kazuna's mind as he climbed the stairs back up to the main cabin area. Things like suspicion he would leave to others. That probably deserves a comma. As far as he was concerned, it didn't involve him. He was just observing. As he continued onward, searching for any sign of the kitchen, he came across another figure he had not yet seen, a man with dark and brooding appearance that didn't fit the peaceful and warm cruise ship hallway. He had neatly swept hair of a midnight blue hue, and a scarf round his neck was just the same too. He had a leather-bound vest which did not cover the rest, though his fingerless gloves might contest. His pants were a tattered and muted gray, and his boots were as dark as the opposite of day. I like that because that's exactly the kind of fudging that Asta does. So
it works so well. It works so well. It's
Yeah.
so good. It's so good.
yeah, you won't get it on first read, but you soon will.
Yeah, it's like you start to notice it as you're like, wait a minute.
What are you standing there for? Kazuna asked as he approached this dark figure. The man turned around, his hair sent flowing, and a perplexed expression on his face was now showing. With a flip of his cape, he rolled across the wall to answer the strange red-headed boy's call.
This is where you start to notice.
He leaned off the wall by his elbow and said, "Hello there, kind sir. I'm in a bit of a bind. I have the urge to do something that could be seen as unrefined." His voice was resonant and suave, which threw Kazuna off. His appearance might have been somewhat dreary, but his attitude, it seemed, could not be more cheery. "Oh, really? And what might that be?" Kazuna asked, his curiosity piqued. "Well, that could wait just a minute longer. First we should introduce ourselves. We're not getting any younger," he said, rattling off another rhyme. I might actually add that in air quotes. Hold on. That sounds funny.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
No, actually regular quotes because double would be dialogue.
Yep.
God damn it! I accidentally did fucking
Another rhyme.
All right. I'm Kazuna Utano. I don't know my talent yet," said Kazuna Utano, who did not know his talent yet. The man raised an eyebrow for only a moment before twisting around without further postponement. With a flip of his cape and a triumphant pose, he spoke the words he had so carefully chose. "I am Asata Shingetsu, the ultimate..." Why is there a space there? "I am Asata Shingetsu, the ultimate thief. Allow me to make this introduction most brief. Stealing treasures most valuable has always been my calling since the day I rolled onto my knees and start crawling." He boasted with such a theatrical flair as he dramatically hoisted his arms in the air. Now we're really getting Susian.
Asta's one of my fucking favorite characters.
A thief, Kazuna blinked. That sounds pretty thrilling, but I have to ask, what's with all the rhyming? Asata pivoted his foot and fell back into the wall, crossing his legs like he was tired of it all. "Forgive me. It's an old habit. A friend of mine told me I was good at improv, so sometimes I break into a rhyming spree. I can stop if it bothers you," he admitted. "What? Oh, no, it doesn't bother me, really, but you look like you could use a break from it," Kazuna said, noting the man's posture. "No, I could have used a break from it." It takes so long.
Yeah. The thing about a character like Asata who's speaking in rhyme time is trying to rhymes that aren't repetitive is a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I established right here that the bit can come and go. If I
Yeah.
like, I could have committed super hard to the bit there, but first of all, that would rob him of his later bits, like the
Yeah.
haiku. But also, at a certain point, you kind of have to take his character seriously at certain points. So, you know,
I fucking love the haiku bit.
yeah, it's you gotta change it up. Let's see. You're quite considerate. My friends say I am too, although I think it's something of a curse personally. The rhyming, for example, you see is done to honor my friend's memory, he explained. Huh? Was Kazuna's only reaction. That seems a little unnecessary, but it's flavorful, so I'll keep it in.
Yeah, keep it.
Never mind. Anyway, you said you don't know your talent. That's right. I can't remember how I got on this ship either, but I'm not too worried. Everything feels fine, so I think it's alright, Kazuna admitted. That part is a bit redundant.
Yeah.
It would seem there's lots of interesting circumstances on this ship. Speaking of, I've been trying to get this girl to leave her room, but I'm not getting any answer, Asta told him, gesturing to the nearby bedroom door. Maybe she's asleep, Kazuna suggested. He had been that way himself. No, I've definitely heard her move around in there. I want to check up with her. On her, probably.
Yeah.
But I'm worried I could see something indecent by mistake, he went on, his mouth tightening as his cheeks flushed slightly.
Oh no, you could see a boobie.
Indecent? I've read enough manga to know where situations like this lead to. Frankly, I can't stand the thought of girls hating me, so I've been stuck here in a mental stalemate for some time, he admitted, pushing his fingers together nervously.
I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going.
This guy's personality truly did not reflect his appearance. I could do it if you don't want to, Kazuna offered, his face blank. Asta grabbed Kazuna by the shoulders, looking him straight in the eye. You do that for me? He asked in a serious tone. Kazuna nodded. It's too much blankly, so I'm just going to put nodded.
Yep.
Kazuna nodded, not understanding the gravity of his actions. You, sir, are a true friend. Hang on for a moment while I pick the lock, Asata said, pulling out a small tool from his pocket. It took him only a second to unlock the door. That must be his talent at work. As soon as he was finished, he rolled across the floor in a flash and hid behind a potted plant. You go first, I'll follow you, he said in a hushed whisper. Without hesitation, Kazuna turned the knob and pushed open the bedroom door. The light of the hallway flowed into the darkened room, revealing a figure that sat directly across from the door, up against the far wall. That's too much information. I think just across... that sat... No, just up across the far wall. Sometimes it's just too much. It's like... It's not repetitive, it's just like... It's like a Captain Obvious moment.
Yeah, it's like, no shit.
What struck Kazuna first was the eyes. I meant were. The eyes. Pale yellow eyes that seemed to illuminate themselves in the darkness. I'm gonna change that because they don't seem to. They do.
Yeah.
That's like a artsy fucking thing. But if they're literally illuminate, like when I said Naoya's eyes seemed like they were glowing, that was
sort of a figurative thing, whereas this is very literal.
Yeah, so yeah, sometimes I get stuck in that like headspace of I really liked seemed that. Like it's a very useful sort of casual way to suggest something, but in this case it's literally happening, so I'm just gonna change that.
Yeah.
As Kazuna's vision adjusted, he could tell they were not eyes at all, and they were not upon a face one could call human. A white mask encompassing all but mouth and chin, the sides hanging over like fangs, featureless, except for those eyes. They were big and expressive, but clearly artificial. I'm going to take that out and just go, those eyes, big and expressive, but clearly artificial. The they are was just cluttering the sentence. Long strands of purple hair shot out from behind the mask in all downward directions. It was messy, ungroomed, and by the look of it, almost never cut. The girl wore what appeared to be a long-sleeved white shirt with beige straps across the midriff, and several more that simply hung loose off the sleeves. What purpose they serve? I don't know. It looks cool. Fuck you. Simple white capris and bland brown slippers completed the unusual and somewhat unsettling look. The first images that came to Kazuna's mind were that of a prisoner. No, more specifically an asylum patient. Hello? Kazuna called out. This was a far cry from whatever Asata had been expecting. The girl ignored him. My name is Kazuna Utano. What's yours? He asked, trying to sound friendly. The girl ignored him. We're going to be classmates or something, so I'd like to know what to call you, he said, laying out his rationale. These are all important, so they're staying.
Yeah.
Suddenly, the eyes changed shape ever so slightly. They were from... I think they meant went. They went from staring straight ahead in a neutral shape to curving downward. They looked sad. The girl lifted a finger and pointed to a tag under her left shoulder. A lot of little tiny errors like that. You'd be surprised what your brain fills in when you're just mentally just, like, reading things. But when you're going over it carefully like this, you notice a lot of little things like that. The tag simply read number 26. 26? What does that mean? I can't call you that. Can I? Kazuna murmured under his breath. This was not lost on the girl, however. Subject 26. That is my designation, she finally spoke. Her voice was light and airy, as if she wasn't used to using it. Designation, so you don't have a name? She only shook her head. Why? He asked bluntly. I was never given one, was her stock answer. I'm going to say the, just to dehumanize a bit.
Yeah.
Because the answer, it's a dehumanizing answer, so I think it should have a dehumanizing tag to it.
Yeah.
Why? He repeated. Before I was brought here, I was in a gray room, several gray rooms, mostly just one. I've never left before, never seen people before, only voices over speakers, figures through frosted glass, she explained. Were you in a hospital? Kazuna guessed. Yes and no, was her only response. That's a little vague. I don't know much. It was a place to gather data, a place to perform tests. They gave me pills and shots and waited for my body to react. They recorded what they found and gave me Gloid and water, she went on. Gloid? What is Gloid? That's a Pendragon reference. Lots of classic YA references in this prologue.
Oh, fuck yeah, Gloid!
Fuck yeah, Gloid! I'm just waiting for the one fellow Pendragon fan to read that.
Gloid, Charlie! I love Gloid!
I'm waiting for the one fucking other Pendragon fan to read this and be like... I can answer that, another voice spoke. Kazuna's eyes darted around for the source, but returned to the girl's position. Suddenly there was a figure standing beside her. It was Asuto, crossing his arms with a sullen expression on his face. He just snuck by him.
Yep.
What? How did you... Kazuna blurted out in surprise. This must be another facet of Asuna's talent. Gloid is a gel-based substance, kind of like yogurt. Only difference is it isn't made for the taste. It's a purely nutritional supplement. One that can even be absorbed through the skin. It was developed for patients that can't eat physical foods, but... Asuda paused and grimaced. So in the Pendragon adventure, Gloid is what the people of Velox use. And so Velox this is completely... It's just fun trivia. But Velox was a world that had invented Lifelight, which is a perfect virtual reality simulation. So basically everyone just lives in these giant Lifelight pyramids, basically living out ideal lives in virtual reality. And Gloid is just it's a food that absorbs through the skin, and basically the people running the pyramids will just like slather them with Gloid to keep their bodies alive while they're in virtual reality for like a long time. So it has equally depressing origins in what I took it from as it does here. So that's the origin of Gloid. This girl had a working mouth. Good for her. Feeding her nothing but Gloid was simply an uncaring, cost-cutting move. Let me guess. You're the ultimate test subject, right? Asuda asked, looking down at the girl with pity. This might be the first time anyone's ever correctly guessed someone else's talent. She nodded. But what about the mask? Kazuna asked insensitively. What a jerk. You can't just ask about the mask. It's like saying...
Oh my god, Asuda, you can't just ask people about their masks.
This reminds me of when I was like a really little kid, and there was we were at a parade or something, and there was a larger, older man who had clearly like a prosthetic hook. This was clearly probably like a Vietnam vet or something, and I as a kid I didn't know any better. I just blurted out, "What's with your arm? What's in that?" So I'm channeling that experience.
Kid thing.
Yeah, so I'm channeling that experience here a bit. The girl's mechanical eyes shrunk to thin lines as her lips curled into a heavy... Where's my music?
Oh, no.
There we go.
Oh, no, it ended! Oh, no!
No, it's starting again. It doesn't loop like... I guess I could set it to loop, but I'm too lazy.
Yeah.
There was a thick tension in the... Oh, sorry, she did not want to discuss it. There was a thick tension in the room. Even Kazuna could tell. This girl was afraid. Of everything. She'd never known the world outside her confinement. Everything was new. Everything was probably nerve-wracking. With a flip of his cape, Asada kneeled down to the floor and looked the girl straight in her special eyes. I don't mean to sound presumptuous, but I wasn't all that different from you years ago. Wasn't quite the same extreme. I want to say to the same extreme. To the same extreme, but I was isolated from the world by my family, he admitted. And when I was at my most frustrated and depressed, someone gave me their hand and showed me a world I'd never seen before. It wasn't always easy, but they guided me through it. It's how I harnessed my talent, he continued. I'll leave that in. I also want to point out that, once again, this is another culmination of the hand-reaching theme from earlier in this prologue. This is referencing King, obviously, but the reader doesn't know that yet.
Yep.
He reached out a hand to her. More fucking... It's like a theme or something.
So handsy.
We're going to be classmates, so I'd like to be that kind of person for you, if you don't mind, he finished. I'm going to consolidate that, and the fact he's finishing is self-evident. The girl looked at the hand. Her expression was naturally difficult to read, but when she bit her lip, Asada could tell she was still afraid. He sighed and grabbed her hand himself, hoisting her up off the floor. Chad maneuver. I also want to point out that this is a connection nobody will really get, but this reaction is the same that she has, is the same that Kazuna had throughout the previous part, which is something it wasn't directly referenced, but it sort of builds up to their first free time event together, where they relate to each other in that way. So it just it plants that idea in your mind for that later.
It's really good.
If you're going to meet the others, you'll need a name, he said. The girl was stiff as a board and clearly uncomfortable with this. Asada tightened the grip on her hand slightly. I'm going to consolidate that in the other direction. How about Nero? What do you think? He suggested. Author's note. This is like one of the few author's notes. Because people wouldn't fucking get it anyway. 26 in Japanese is Nijiroku, which is where this comes from. I don't know. It's neither good or bad, I guess, she stammered out, her stoicism breaking a tad. Well, let's go for that for now, at least. I'll show you around. If you have any questions, just ask, Asada reassured her. Nero didn't react, but Kazuna could have sworn she loosened her posture. That could be its own line. Yep. With a nod, Asada took her out of the room and down the hall. Kazuna felt as though he had just witnessed something special, though he couldn't pinpoint why. Asada had his quirks, and clearly some kind of history, but he seemed very compassionate. That was all he could say about it. Sure.
It's alright.
I was wondering if that was unnecessary, but I was like, it puts a cap on it.
Yep.
You can't have a toothpaste tube without a cap. Otherwise the toothpaste would leak out.
It gets dry.
Yeah. And then it's like, it gets stuck, and nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about words and writing, by the way. It didn't take Kazuna long to locate the kitchen. All he had to do was follow the faint scent of food. He's quite good at that. It was a quaint eating area with a few tables and a preparation. I'm going to say area twice. I'm going to say space. Quaint eating space with a few tables and a preparation area towards the back. He could tell by the way someone was preparing something at that very moment. There was a man brandishing a knife behind the counter, carefully cutting into a black tray. More specifically, he was slicing up a brownish cake-like substance. Even more specifically than that, brownies? Kazuna asked. In an instant, the man flipped the knife upward and held it towards Kazuna's throat. Kazuna had no reaction as various bits of brownie scattered across his face. It's just funny to visualize. You shouldn't sneak up on someone like me. Could be fatal, the man said with a serious look in his eyes, which were a vibrant green. By the way, just in case you wanted to know, just FYI.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it sneaking, Kazuna said blankly. I think it's
fine as is.
I really overused the blankly thing. It should be used more to punctuate things.
Yeah.
The man's hair was wild! 5 brown spikes formed a curvy star shape around his scalp, while long pointed strands of blonde hair filled the gaps between them. He wore a lengthy emerald tabard atop a brown long-sleeved robe. The tabard draped over his puffed black trousers, dotted with stars, neatly fitted into Japanese tabi shoes. I'm not sure if tabby shoes is the correct way to refer to them, but if I just say tabby, I'm worried nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So,
What the fuck are tabby?
yeah, so I'm, I'll take the concession there just for
Yeah,
the sake of readability. It was both weirdly traditional and oddly casual. It's interesting. Yuji's outfit, like, it's simultaneously, like, it looks like warrior attire, but it also looks really comfy. It's interesting. I know what it is you seek, the man stated ominously, his eyes darting down to the tray of brownies. Well, I am rather hungry, Kazuna admitted. But are you hungry enough for desserts of my caliber? The man inquired, a smug grin forming on his face. You put gunpowder in these? No, not that kind of caliber, you fool. These are not just ordinary brownies. They were crafted with 3 different varieties of chocolate, placed on a rotisserie for even cooking, each ingredient measured precisely for the most airy and moist brownie you've ever experienced. He boasted proudly, as is the most common way to boast. That "and" is a bit much. It breaks the flow. There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. Can I have one? How arrogant. I only make such desserts for friends, and you have not even yet introduced yourself. Are you going to rush off with one like the last guy? Ha! He demanded accusingly, pushing the knife a little closer to Kazuna's unmoving face. Oh, so Keita did come here. He mused to himself. Yes, he did. He rushed in and stole one before I could even add the finishing powdered sugar. Now he's going to judge me for an incomplete dessert. I just know it! Should be a comma there, but otherwise it's gold.
Motherfucker!
I mean, I'll wait. I'm Kazuna Utano. I don't remember my talent. The man eyed him down before slowly retracting the knife. And I am Yuji Sakaburu. Yes, of the Sakaburu clan. I was chosen to represent my clan as the ultimate hunter, though truthfully, baking is my real passion these days, he decreed as he gazed lovingly at his confectionery creation. I don't know if I told you this, but the reference for this was one of Genji's highlight intros.
Ah, okay.
The one where Genji rolls on the floor and then jumps up and like fans the shuriken.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I took a screenshot of that. I'm like, do this. It's so cool.
Great.
Fuck mosquitoes, by the way.
Yeah, fuck mosquitoes.
I've never heard of such a clan. What do they do? Kazuna asked, trying to reach for a brownie, but having his hand smacked away as Yuji reached for the powdered sugar. No. My clan are world-renowned hunters. We take on contracts to accomplish things others cannot. Eliminating dangerous beasts, finding lost artifacts, capturing criminal fugitives, that sort of thing, he explained as he sprinkled the sugar atop the brownies. That's your ultimate talent? Yes, a title bestowed to get rid of me, actually. You see, I was actually so proficient at my work that other members of my clan were having immense difficulty finding jobs. So my father arranged for me to be sent to the world's chosen institute. I think that's a bit redundant. So, because you were too good at your work, they sent you to a school to become even better at it? Kazuna tried to follow the train of logic. Yuji sighed and handed him a freshly sliced brownie. Kazuna took a heavy bite, and immediately his clothing ripped apart as he cried out in ecstatic glee, not dissimilar to the primal howls of intense sexual stimulation. No, I'm just kidding. That sort of thing would be silly.
Can you tell around what time this was written? Can you tell what was running in Shonen Jump at the time?
I hope that reference stays evergreen. I hope I never have to explain what I'm referencing there. This is really good. I like how the top and bottom are just a little crispy, he said as he took another bite. Yuji looked pleased with the result. As he munched on the brownie, he gazed around the room and spotted something he had missed the first time. There was a girl sitting by herself at the far back table, hidden behind a sign advertising... Well, nothing. It seems like they forgot to put an ad there. Hello? Hello, Sabin there? He asked Yuji, who was cleaning off some equipment. He could only shrug. Kazuna walked over to the girl and examined her closely. She had pale skin... Who fucking doesn't in this story? And messy black hair with a single...
Man, this sure has a lot of pale motherfuckers.
Based. And messy black hair with a single white strand running down the left side of her forehead. She wore big black headphones that encompassed her ears completely, but strangely there were tiny speakers along the band of the device. They resembled cat ears. A short-sleeved white hoodie with a black sash around the midsection, black shorts with white trimmings.
Oh, yeah, it's time for other best girl!
And long thigh-high socks, black and white rings. Or was it white with black rings? Laced black boots completed a very monochromatic outfit. It's so monochromatic, there's no way I can avoid how much black is used here.
Yeah.
You can. It's just...
It worked. It's
it
fine.
Is what it is.
Hey, you said the thing. Hey.
Yeah. What's more, there was a long corded belt that ran well past her waist and ended in a sharp golden point, which made it seem like she had a tail. Along with the headphones' unusual shape, it gave her a very cat-like appearance. Her eyes were closed, her hands stuffed in her hoodie pockets, and Kazuna could hear the faintest sound of music playing. Was she really asleep? He snapped his fingers in her face, but there was no reaction. What a jerk. Reluctantly, he tapped the... Go on. Yep.
Hello.
Yep. Reluctantly, he tapped the girl's shoulder. She shook it off and frowned. "Don't bother me," she whispered, as if still not fully conscious. Even if she said that, he couldn't just not meet her. Thinking quickly, he ran back to grab another brownie from the tray and started waving it under her nose.
Such fucking cartoon bullshit.
The girl sighed and snatched it from his hands. "Well, if you're not going to stop," she muttered as she wolfed it down in one bite. After wiping her mouth, she finally opened her eyes to see who was annoying her. Kazuna...
I just imagining just Kazuna completely just dead face just grabs one. Ooh.
Kazuna was immediately stunned by what he saw. Her eyes are an impressive golden shade that seemed to pierce his very being. It was somewhat intimidating, to be honest. I'm noticing this is getting a little better written as it's going along.
Yeah.
Less to correct, which is good. I learned quickly. So yeah, I mastered it like 4 years ago. I'm good now. I am now immune to criticism. "You want my name and talent, right?" she asked bluntly. Yeah, if you would." "My name is Kamiko Karoba. My talent is being the ultimate EDM." She stiffly replied in a tone that wouldn't let one forget she was coerced into giving that information.
I love that descriptor.
Yep. EDM was the obvious utterance, because
Also scroll back up a little bit. I love the little scratch over EDM there. It's good.
Yeah. EDM was the obvious utterance, because everyone asks me, because they've never fucking heard acronyms before. "Electronic dance music. I'm a producer, artist, musician, whatever you want to call it." She answered the question she knew was coming, tapping her headphones gently. "You make electronic music?" "Yes, I go by the handle Shade Cat, but if you didn't know what EDM stood for, you probably never heard that," she said, her expression cold. "Are you famous?" "In certain circles," was her vague reply. It didn't seem like she was big on talking about herself. In that case, Kazuna wondered if her music could do the talking for her. "Can I hear something you made?" he asked, as nicely as he could. The girl bit her lip and looked away. "That's embarrassing," she mumbled. Kazuna supposed it would be, just watching someone's reaction to your work. "Music is an isolated experience. That's what I think. Something to be discovered on your own. That sort of connection," she rambled on, seemingly not talking to Kazuna. He noticed she seemed to have difficulty looking him in the eye.
It's fine.
No, it wasn't fine. That's why I added an S.
Right.
"You don't think people can bond over music?" he asked plainly, as the thought came to him. "I don't care if they do," she said, each word more icy than the last. A moment of silence passed before she spoke up again. "Are we done here?" I think that's self-evident.
Yeah.
I guess, if you want to be.
Like, super blunt.
Yeah. So blunt, no tags. Tags take away from the bluntness. She stood up, stretching like she had been curled up in the chair for a long while. She looked far too much like a cat. "Good. I find this kind of thing tiring. You should avoid talking to me unless it's important," she warned as she took a step past Kazuna. "Wait, why are you going to the Institute, then?" he had to ask. Another pause. "Someone wanted me to. I couldn't say no," was as much information as she was willing to part with. Kazuna was glad she at least said that much. Just as she was about to leave, she placed a hand on the doorframe and stopped. Also, you should avoid him, she uttered without context. Kazuna looked through the glass wall. Glass wall? Through the glass wall? Oh, I know what I know what I mean. I'm imagining, you know how like you go to McDonald's and like there's a regular wall and then there's like a glass wall next to it. That's what I was thinking. I was imagining this kitchen area had like a glass wall towards the hallway. Kind of like a McDonald's, I guess, or any other restaurant, or any other fast food place, whatever.
Yes.
The man in the red coat, Naoya Ruazoji. He was simply passing through an adjacent hallway, unaware he was being watched. I'm gonna bet he wasn't unaware of that, but I'm gonna say he was. Huh? Why? Kazuna demanded. Sure, that works. Because he'll only betray you, were her foreboding final words as she wandered off. Kazuna stood there in surprise, his mind reaching in a dozen different directions, but ultimately grabbing nothing. He put that thought in the back of his mind. There should only be one more classmate to meet, and only one place he hadn't looked yet. Line break. The observation platform atop the ship. That was the last place. As Kazuna climbed the metal stairs leading to it that wrapped around the edge of the ship, he could see an island off in the distance. That must be their destination. As he went higher and higher, slowly the platform came into his field of view, and there he saw the last of his new classmates, standing alone against the safety railing, gazing out at the island they were fast approaching. It was a girl with short and neat black hair, with a single blue strand in front that reminded Kazuna of someone. She wore a dark blue dress with a black corset and silky skirt. Her long dark boots with fine laces made her look very elegant. Hello? He shouted. Sorry, that wasn't a shout. Hello! He shouted as the sea winds intensified. All of a sudden, the girl jumped in shock and lost her footing, her body twisting until she fell into him, causing them to both tumble back down the metal stairs until they slammed onto the flat section below. When Kazuna opened his eyes, he saw her staring up from underneath him, her face turning as red as a fresh tomato. Oh, I'm sorry I startled you, he apologized sincerely. No problem. I wasn't paying much attention, the girl muttered nervously as her eyes darted around. Why are you sweating so much? Are you sick? He asked, tilting his head in confusion. The girl bit her lip and took a deep breath before exclaiming, "No, I'm not sick. I could you please move your hand?" she begged him, her whole body starting to fidget about. Kazuna looked to see his hand was currently pressed up against the girl's chest in a rather compromising way. His entire palm was filled with a pleasant softness. Before he could remove it, there was a loud snickering coming from further down the stairway. The pair turned their heads to see another figure standing there, crossing, I think, her stomach, trying to hold in laughter. Yeah, that works. I must have just been really tired when I wrote the first part, because there hasn't been as much to correct here, apart from that one really egregious line.
That one fucking line!
Sis? The girl beneath Kazuna exclaimed. Oh, it's you again, was Kazuna's much more subdued reaction. Well, I was going to introduce you eventually, but I could see you're already pretty well acquainted, eh, sis? A familiar perky voice called out. It was Koyuki Mikasa, the first person Kazuna had met on the ship, and the other girl with the long dark blue strand in her hair. That's not funny, sis, the other girl shouted, sounding like she was nearly out of breath. And at 2, Kazuna. I let you out of my sight for a few hours, and you're already cheating on me. You're better than I thought, Koyuki said jokingly, feigning offense. Huh? What game were we playing? Kazuna asked, not understanding the context. Koyuki was too focused on her apparent sister to answer that question. Wow, I knew you wanted to meet a guy at the school, but I didn't think you'd have caught one already. I'm disappointed. It's like you've gone and left me behind, Maya, she whimpered with theatrical posh. Posh. It's a fun word. Posh is one of those words that sounds like what it is. It's like duffel bag. It's like, that's what it is.
Posh.
It's not it, sis, and I never said that. You did, the other girl named Maya Mikasa cried. Ignoring her, Koyuki turned her attention back to Kazuna. But Kazuna, I'm so jealous. You never fondled mine that way, and mine are even bigger than Maya's, she declared with an impish grin, hoisting her own chest up proudly. That's not true. We're the same size. Stop lying, sis. Maya shouted defiantly before covering her own mouth in regret and embarrassment. Maybe we could share him then. I know, I'll take him Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you, she went on before Kazuna interrupted with a musing question.
I love that. She's like, come on, Koyuki, we both have huge boobs.
Am I the child of a divorced parents now? He wondered aloud. Ignoring.
I love how everything else he doesn't know, but he knows that.
I mean, he doesn't know that, but he knows he knows what that. Yeah. Oh, general amnesia. It's very fun. You know a lot of concepts, just not a lot of facts.
Yeah.
Ignoring that, Koyuki ran up to her sister and smiled gleefully. Tell me, Maya, how does it feel? You certainly look like you're enjoying it, she taunted with a sparkle in her eyes. Defeated, Maya turned away from her sister and looked at Kazuna pleadingly. Finally remembering the initial predicament, Kazuna removed his hand from her breast and offered her a hand, pulling her up to her feet. That's not part of the symbolism, it's just what happened.
I love this dude just took 5 fucking minutes to remove his hand from this poor girl's boob.
Yeah, this was I have a what's the word I'm looking for? I have it's like a ritual, I guess. When I start stories, I like to somewhere in the first section I like to throw in a little filter just to get the the easily offended out of the room.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is a good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I find fucking like accidental perversion scenes like this fucking hilarious.
Yeah, there's other ways to do it, but this is what I chose here. So there.
Yeah.
Maya tried to run away, but simply crashed into her sister's arms. Now. That's rude of you, Maya. Let's introduce ourselves. Kazuna won't bite, Koyuki said, turning her around. Well, you don't know that. You don't know that.
He might.
Kazuna stared at the shy girl expectantly. It's good to meet you. I'm Maya Mikasa, and I am the ultimate actor, she stammered out anxiously. An actor is right. You just gave a wonderful performance, sis, acting like you weren't enjoying every second of that, Koyuki teased, wrapping her arms around her sister's shoulders. Stop it, sis. I'm trying to forget about that, Maya demanded, her voice high and desperate. It's like there's a lot of tags here, but they all include emotion indicators, so it's...
Yeah, it's important for getting the emotions of the characters across and like building.
It's also a scene with more than 2 people, so it's kind of a little necessary.
And these are 3 characters with wildly different personalities, each one of them, so it helps to make some distinction.
Yeah. You're really an actor? Kazuna asked, a little shocked. Oh, don't let her nervous face fool you. She's the best actor in the world. Daddy raised us to be the best, after all. Of course, I was more suited to the ice rink, Koyuki explained. Taking a deep breath, that might be unnecessary, but it's fine. Taking a deep breath, Maya tried to calm herself down. Well, there's something wrong with that sentence, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I think in my mind I was thinking she calmed herself down, but then I thought no, she's just trying to calm herself down. So those thoughts ended up merging. That happens a lot. That happens so often where I'll think of 2 different ways to word something, and I thought I picked one, but I really merged them in my head.
Yeah, like they just intersect and just come out as just garbled on the page.
That's right. I've been acting since before I could walk. I'm actually really nervous about going to a real school. I've never done that before, Maya said, looking at the ground. It's a floor. I have this thing where I get annoyed when people refer to floors as grounds, but I do it myself sometimes. I try to actively avoid it because it kind of pisses me off. I'm like, that's not a ground. That's not the ground. It's a floor. It's fucking cremoline or what? No, that's what the skirt
ground is ground. Floor is floor.
It's ceramic. Ground isn't ceramic. Not yet, anyway.
Give it some time, it might be.
Reminds me of a gag from Camp about he told Preston to go out and clean outside. So when he comes back, the entire forest floor is chrome. And he's like, what happened to the forest? He's like, I cleaned it. Where's the dirt? I cleaned it. Put it back. It's supposed to be there. He cleaned the entire forest. she's excited because she gets to meet cute boys. Daddy never let them near her before. Koyuki took over. Nope, whoops, hold on. Nope. God damn it. Yeah, that's a different thought, so, yeah. Maya elbowed her sister in the ribs and freed herself. Should that be... Is that too long? I think that works.
Yeah, that's too long. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine as it was.
It's not that. It's just I'm so used to following scripts, and I don't really know who I am. I've always been one character or another, and that's what the adults wanted. But now I have to be myself, and I don't know how to do that. She stammered out, blurting out more than she probably meant to. This whole thing about following scripts and not knowing who you are, I originally used that idea with Sena in Million to One, but I repurposed it here.
That's yet another little like thematic thing you're repurposing in both Beyond Fiction and Drex. Okay.
Yeah, I never did too much with it, and it just only really defined her base personality. I do more with it here.
Yeah, you've mentioned to me like a few times in private. I'm not sure if you actually mentioned this like publicly or not,
Probably.
but you've mentioned to me that like in private that there are various character personality traits, themes, ideas, individual sequences, and so on and so forth that are transplanted from your original plans for Million to One and its spinoff.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're ideas that you really like and you really feel you could do something with, but like unfortunately you're just not in anywhere close to the same headspace as you were in those like older pieces of work. So
yeah,
it's hard to go back.
It's crazy to think about. But I only started writing Drex about a year after I stopped writing Million to One, so those ideas were still very fresh in my head, and I definitely wanted to get them across, but I just couldn't do it in that story anymore. That's beyond the point of this video, but yeah, there's a lot of carryover of ideas.
I mean, I figured as long as we're talking about like
sure,
the editorial nature of this video, we might as well like it might as well bring that up.
Sure. I just don't want to bog down with specifics.
No, you're good.
Yeah. If it makes you feel better, I'm not sure who I am either, Kasuna stated out of the blue. Maya turned to face him, her interest captured. I can't remember my talent, or even how I got on this boat, or why I'm going to this world's chosen place. But I'm not too bothered by that. I've met a lot of interesting people, so I think it'll be okay. What the fuck? Okay. The wind blew past the trio as Maya simply looked at him in the eye with a serious expression. So, what was your name again? She asked, her knees bending inward by reflex. I'm Kazuna. Kazuna Utano, he stated. Nice to meet you, Kazuna. Wait, I already said that. I hope we'll get along at school, she replied, rapidly changing the subject. Kazuna nodded with a faint smile. Yeah, why are these two separate lines? Sometimes I think I get too caught up in the visual novel presentation.
Yeah.
Koyuki slung her arm back around her sister's shoulder, whatever that is, and sighed.
It's just good.
And sighed. Okay, I'm sorry to separate the lovebirds, but we're going to arrive soon. We should go get ready, right, sis? She said, gazing out at the island that was fast approaching. Did I say that before? Hold on. Yeah, fast approaching, I should probably change that.
Yeah,
that was,
yeah, right there. Right there.
Coming up quick, I guess. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Bye, Kazuna, Maya said happily as she was dragged away by her overzealous sister. As they went down the stairs, Kazuna thought he could hear some derision over that lovebird's remark. Kazuna stared out at the sea as the boat drew ever closer to the island. He could just barely make out a black tower in the distance. Was that the Institute? He had met all of his classmates, and still knew very little of his situation. But somehow, he remained calm and composed. Everything seemed so peaceful, and there was a part of him that actually was looking forward to some kind of happy school life. Suddenly, a crackling noise. Kazuna twisted and turned, but couldn't locate the source. He shrugged. It was probably nothing. But then it happened again, and louder this time. He was able to see where it was coming from. It was an electric static, coming from a speaker as opposed to non-electric statics. Coming from a speaker atop the ship's flagpole, it was now generating a stream of constant static noise that filled his ears and grew louder by the second. I think there's too many
I feel
statics
like you
here.
should, yeah, I feel like you can remove the second static and just say a stream of constant noise.
Yeah.
It's already been described as static, so you don't need the second.
How about stream of constant buzzing noise
Okay.
that filled his ears and grew louder by the second? I said louder before. I'm going to say grew more intense by the second. Without warning, his head started to hurt, a sharp pain that coursed through his skull. Why? What was what was the feeling? Of dread? Of fear? Or Zetsubo?
Zetsubo.
And before he knew it, the crackling static sound morphed into a distinguished and goofy sounding laughter. Before suddenly cutting out completely. To be continued. So I think we've cleaned this one up nicely as well. I'm not sure how much more cleaning up would be needed from here on out. I'll make notes as I keep rereading it. But that first part especially had a lot of little things that needed polishing up, especially since it's the first introduction into this story. So glad I got that done. I'm glad that the next person who checks out the series will have a more polished experience. And again, gone.
Yeah, so like I noticed that like because you wrote the first part in the middle, like dead middle of the night, bleary eyed, just like, on a whim, there were a lot of like little errors here and there.
Yeah.
That added up to kind of a repetitive experience. That's how the first part was written. The second part has less of that, but it has more larger individual issues that need to be like patched up as you go.
Yeah. And I just wanted to do this little stream to showcase the improvement process. I think it's if anyone watching this does any writing of their own, it can be really helpful to look back at your old stuff to fix things, especially online. The benefit you have with publishing stuff online is that everything is a living document. You can make whatever changes you want at any time. I tried hard here. I don't think there's any reason to. Maybe there will be at some point, but you'll notice that I didn't really change the content whatsoever. It's just the way it was presented. Like, I think I changed literally, in terms of meaning, one line, and it's because the original was completely nonsensical. That's it.
It was actually just bad.
Yeah, that's literally it. That's the only line I changed the actual meaning of, because originally I have no fucking idea what the meaning was supposed to be. But beyond that, the content was the same because the content was good. It was just the way it was presented. And when I was like really starting out with like Million to One and stuff, I didn't give a fuck about how things were presented. I was just like, well, my ideas are so good that everyone will flock to it.
Carry me forward into the future.
Yeah, and that stupidity led to me thinking multi-speaker paragraphs were a good idea. So, and this huge...
Yeah, you showed me a few paragraphs in Million to One, and I'm like, what the hell is this block of text I'm looking at?
That stopped after a while, but it took me longer than I would have liked to admit that was a bad idea.
You said something along the lines of, you considered a paragraph done when you had 6 sentences in it, or something.
Yeah, that's what fucking MLA will do to you. Fucking MLA, honestly. Yeah. But, no, I've adapted much lower since then to write for the web format. And keep in mind, people, this was stuff I wrote like almost 5 years ago. So I've learned a lot since then, and I wanted to contrast that and sort of fix it up a bit with my more modern understanding of how to communicate ideas. Because as far as like attracting and retaining readers goes, how you present ideas is almost just as important as the ideas themselves.
As you're writing it, it might seem relatively minor, a lot of these issues, but when you're actively reading it as, a first-time viewer, it's these little subtle changes you can make to the presentation of ideas and the presentation of the story that can really create a much better reading experience.
Yeah.
Comparative to, how Zeke had it before this, entire video, where it had a couple of rough spots.
Yeah, indeed. So I just wanted to show that off. There is a third part to the prologue, but things were looking on the up and up in part 2, so we're not gonna get into that here. Plus, we met everyone. It's fine. It's a good stopping point.
Yeah.
So yeah, if this was new to you and you're interested in continuing, please check out Drex on AO3. It's Zeke Freak, just like on this channel, and I have other stories there as well. You can check out. I'm even posting Killer Connect scripts there, although I have a little catching up to do. But so basically, all my main projects are on AO3 now. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me to go through in this editing process. I thought it'd be a fun thing to do. We'll probably be back next week with a proper episode. Until then, stay tuned. Zeke Freak out. Ciao ciao for now.